Hi, I'm so sorry I'm late, but I was researching Phil Spector, and I'm always like that. So I did drop the link, just in case anybody wants to come in and just I don't know if anybody's bored. Um, but the only reason why I was thinking about Phil Spector is because earlier I was I was at chemotherapy, and I was talking to Tiffany on the phone, and so I said we were talking about, how next week is my last chemo treatment, and that how, you know, I guess with, after a month or whatever, your hair starts growing back. It's my last chemo treatment, but it certainly doesn't mean, there's still not a long road ahead. I'm going to be getting surgery. Like what they'll do is they'll consult with the surgeon first, see, how much it's shrunk, and then, figure out their plan. And then, hi, baby Jane. I dropped the link in case you want to come in. So they'll, assess what kind of surgery, what's going to happen, all that stuff. And then it's radiation, which I'm kind of afraid of, but I was afraid of chemo too. So to be honest with you, the chemo actually, this is where when I'm getting to, that today I was talking to Tiffany on the phone at chemotherapy, and so okay, baby Jane, and so I said, with any luck, my hair will grow back in like Andy Warhol, right? So then Tiffany said, or Phil Spector. Well, I burst out laughing. Okay. I mean, we were already laughing, about the Andy Warhol, but when she said, or Phil Spector, I mean, I just died laughing. So the nurse came over and said, "You're laughing so loud. Can you just keep it down a little?" And I was just talking to Tiffany a little bit ago and said, I mean, really, how many people get told to, laugh a little quieter at chemotherapy? You're laughing too loud. You're having too good of a time, Not that it's a bad thing. Hi, James. So, I just thought that's I was scared of chemotherapy too. But now here I am being, I got one more treatment left and being told, you're laughing too loud. And that's great. That really is great. And it's funny, coming up on this last treatment, chemo treatment. There's more to go. Road ahead, whatever, positive thinking all the way. And I feel like it's a journey that I went through with you guys. Because basically I was, in this, because there is communities, there's communities. And I was in this community before I was diagnosed. And then, you know, been through this. It's such, a road that, I don't know, I get a little emotional thinking about it, because not emotional in a sad way or a bad way, but it made me feel like closer to people. I feel more positive. I feel it's just strange, It's not that I like, I don't know, like Tiffany. I have friends that they make me laugh. Tiffany's really funny. Prudently is really funny. People are really funny, and they're nice, and I mean funny in a good way. I don't mean funny like, I mean funny in a good way, like where it's land, where this journey is going. I'm, sticking around to see and eradicating this, and you know, it's it's gonna be okay. And just being told to you're laughing too loud, was so awesome. Because really, I highly doubt there's so many people that really, I really am the only one. I'm not saying I'm the only one, but I mean, so I go and I remembered what Phil Spector's. Thank you, baby Jane. I remember what Phil Spector's hair looked like. Okay, but I didn't remember it to the extent of what it is in the thumbnail. Right? I did not remember that afro like that. I know that there's been times I've seen it, in the past, like it's popped up on YouTube maybe, but I just didn't. Hi, Lee. And I didn't, yeah, I was just saying, Lee, how I had said to Tiffany, I go, with my luck, my hair will grow back like Andy Warhol's. And hold on, there's somebody knocking on the door. Let me get him in.
Hey, sweetie, how are you? How you
How are
doing?
you?
I'm
Pretty good, pretty
good.
good.
I'm good.
Yeah, I was
I figured
telling
I'd pop
Lee
in
the
here.
story about Phil Spector, how then Tiffany goes, or Phil Spector's. And and the chemotherapy nurse came over and said, "You're laughing so loud. Can you just keep it down a little?" And how it's, so good that they were saying that. So anyway, so I go in the bathroom to check it out. I burst out laughing again, at Phil Spector's hair because I knew he had, some crazy hair, but not that crazy. Like, wow. Hey, Minnie, how you doing? And so
I
I'm
figured
in the
I would jump
bathroom
in
laughing
here.
all by myself. Huh?
Oh yeah, I figured I would jump in here and till the fun bus Tiffany gets here. I know
Yeah, I
she's
know
like
she is
doing dinner.
funny.
She's doing dinner right now with her kids or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think she's getting them off to bed or something now. I forget like
yeah.
about the time change,
Oh,
because
I do too. I always do. And I'm calling her up and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, I'm making dinner right now. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It is like pretty early where you are. I always lose track of the fact that she's 3 hours. I've called her before at 8. It's been 8 o'clock in the morning and five
I
o'clock
know,
in the morning.
right? And you gotta
I
remind
felt
yourself.
so
Bye. Hey,
bad.
Jeff Feeling. Thank you, Mini Monster. I agree. And that it much love and positivity to all. I do.
Yeah, and you know what the thing is that I love hearing you be happy and positive, and
That's what I was
that's how
saying. We
we
were
need to
talking
be.
about. I was talking about to Tiffany on the phone that I feel like I'm in a good place, and I'm glad that I'm friends with her because I told
Yeah, me
her
too.
she could. I, I I'm a better person because of her.
Me too. I
You
feel
know
the
that?
same way.
Because I get teary eyed to saying this.
I get
I'm good,
teary eyed
Grandma.
about
How are you?
you.
Yeah,
I know how you
because
feel.
when she wrote, the I'm all for being on the road to forgiveness and accountability for actions, even my own actions, right? And I've been sticking to that. And I feel like the drama has kind of died down on YouTube, but so much so that
It kind of has, but it's more or less. It really hasn't per se. It's just Tiffany and I darn aren't responding to it anymore. I
yeah,
mean, like
right. But
for
so it's
instance,
died
they're
down
doing
because you guys aren't
yeah,
responding to it anymore. So they're having to reach
yeah,
more
they're
than
doing a
they were
hangout. They're
before.
doing a live stream right now about us. So it's like
Really?
oh yeah, yeah, and
Yeah, sure. Well,
we're just
they're
ignoring it.
reaching, they're making stuff out.
We're just
And
ignoring it. It's
yeah,
like I don't even care. If y'all hate me, hate me. I don't care. It doesn't
right. And
affect me one way
all
or
that
the other.
matters is that if you would be your own friend, if you be the friend that you'd want, to have. You know what I mean? Are you there, Kate?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's my motto too.
Yeah.
But it's
Be the
like,
friend that you'd like to have.
I mean, I don't even sit on YouTube that much. When I do come on, I watch
Yeah, but
certain
like I
channels
was
like Do It
saying,
Yourself
the YouTube
projects.
though, the people that I have made, the friends that I've made through this journey, like there's people that you can, um, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Um, appreciate meeting through YouTube.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I once was listening to this guy, and he was pretty good. He wasn't like a preacher. he was just somebody who tried to say, like, one of the things he was saying was, joy and depression can't live hand in hand. They can't live in the same space together. So if you find things to be grateful for, then you'll be joyous and find that the depression, it's not that they can, but you'll find
Right.
that the more things, if you're picking things out to be grateful, then that depression just kind of leaves your mind, because instead of picking out things you're depressed about. And I hate to talk so much, Katie, but
oh no,
you
you're
know what else?
fine. I
Not
love
that I hate
listening.
to talk so much.
I
I
love
really like
listening to you talk.
it. I
I'm just
really
glad to
like
hear
it.
you so happy. That makes me feel so good to hear you happy.
Good. It makes me feel good. And I really think that, for me, some people, like, they have some kind of a gift, like, think about this, okay? For all of to really look at things the way they really were, like, say this GoFundMe page. Let's take that for example. People didn't know who to trust about the GoFundMe page. But when Tiffany deemed it trustworthy and promoted it, people reacted and responded and put aside their anger, their hatred for her, for me, for whatever, for a good cause and
Yes,
truth. Very true, Minnie. If you look for hate, you will find it, you know? And
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and so she did something that it kind of shows that the person they did trust to start donating again, because it had been very stagnant since all that stuff happened, then was Tiffany. So ironically, the one that, they said, she's the one that when she put, what I'm saying? That's a gift to affect people in a way
I'll tell you this.
where, you know,
Tiffany and I have gone back and forth over the years, and it's been some of it's been really ugly. I mean, some of it's been very ugly. But I will tell you that I mean, we're well past all of that. She
right.
is the most amazing person.
She's
She
very
has a very
honest.
good
I
heart.
think she is. I think she's
I
honest.
think she's fun, a lot of fun. She has a lot of empathy and compassion for people. It is genuine. She's not disingenuous one bit. And
Yeah,
she really
I don't
does
think
try
so.
to be kind to people. She really does.
She
You
does.
know,
She really, and what she did was an act of kindness.
yes,
And so
100%.
those people who immediately dropped me like a bag of hot potatoes, it no longer had to do with me personally at all anymore, because I was nothing to them except, and I hate to say, but exactly what Jeff had said, cancer patient pawn,
Yeah.
you know?
And
Yeah.
I'm sorry that's how it is. I mean, I
No,
don't want
but
to,
the
but
thing
that's how
is
it
what
came
she did was
across.
it came, I'm like this now because people became kinder, and that's because of Tiffany. And I'm a
Mhm.
better person now because of that statement that she said. I'm all for the road to forgiveness and accountability, even for my own actions. And
Yes.
that has rang through, and rang true for me
My
and her
favorite.
and other people too.
Well, see, that one resonates with you. And I was just talking to Tiffany about this earlier. The one thing that she's always said to me that sticks with me is when people show you who they are, believe them. Believe them the first time. Don't give them a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time to show you. When they
I'm going to
show
add
you,
secular human to the stream. Do you mind?
oh, I don't mind. Yeah, have them come
Okay.
in.
All right. He's always asking.
Hello?
Hi, secular. So go ahead.
Hi.
Finish what you were saying, Katie. I'm
I was
sorry.
going to say that statement that she made. I love that statement. I mean, I just think that's she's kind of right about that. And I think a lot of
You mean the road to forgiveness and accountability? Yeah.
yes, but
Yeah.
also when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Right.
Don't give
Right.
somebody a second chance to hurt you or cause you problems or cause you grief or anything like that.
And you
So
shouldn't. And I mean, people say, oh, people can have second chances, right? They can say that. But a lot of
right,
times
right.
they seem to. Do you have your YouTube playing or something? Secular?
I
I
don't
heard
think
like an
so.
echo coming back.
It's off.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'll sometimes like okay, for instance, Jeff, let's take Jeff for example, okay? And Jeff, I don't mean this in offense, and I'm always nice to you. Because of that statement that somebody's got their YouTube on.
It's off. I think I got it off now.
Okay.
How's that?
Yeah, I can. That's fine now. Yeah, thank you. So Jeff, I saw it, and the other night he was in somebody else's live stream, and somebody else was there that was, giving him a hard time. He was basically just there saying, "Hey, hi," he wasn't being impolite, and then it just became all total drama because the other person, female, wouldn't stop, bringing shit up. Okay. And I find that is part of the problem. People will really digging up bones. That song by who sings that? Randy Travis? Who sings
I think
that?
it was Randy Travis. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an old song, digging up. But I love that song. Yeah.
Survivor Girl. It's so nice to hear your voice. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. That's the funny thing. Usually after chemo, I feel really good.
Okay.
And I was scared of chemo. Scared to death of it. And I know that and I'm scared to death of radiation. I'm scared to death of, what kind of surgery they might, make. But I trust in my doctors and my nurses and everything. So as much as I'm scared of it, like my oncologist came in, can somebody remove Jeff's feelings? I can't remove, but somebody who's a mod like Lee, can you remove that? Ollie is the person, by the way. I just said it, so you may as well leave it.
Who is Jeff's feeling, anyways? I've heard there's so many different.
You know what? None of us really know who any of us are.
Nobody really knows.
You know what I mean? What's it matter? I was thinking today how we call each other that yes, she did attack you, Jeff. And I've always been, even though sometimes you haven't been so nice to me, but like I just said, digging up bones, right? So we're not going to do that.
Well, I'll tell you what.
The road to forgiveness and accountability.
I'll tell you what. I love me some Survivor Girl. I just had to get my Survivor Girl fixed tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Very nice to me. And I was thinking about, like that. At least I didn't know that you had cancer. You probably told me, but I don't remember that.
Lee.
Huh?
I said Lee. Lee did. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, somebody else is knocking. Hold on.
Is it Tip?
Oh, I feel like Mr. Rogers. Yes, it is. Here you go. Remember when Mr. Rogers would answer his door and the neighbors would come in?
Yes, I remember it. Love that.
Did you guys see that movie about him, that indie film about Mr. Rogers?
I did not. I didn't know there was one. I'll have to watch it. Hi, Tiffany.
Was it Tom Hanks that played him?
Yeah.
I did hear about it, and I didn't watch it, but I'd love to. I love Tom Hanks.
It was at all the indie theaters around here, the independent film theaters.
What's it called?
Speedy Delivery. Speedy Delivery.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so great.
I love
Delivery.
How you doing, Tiffany?
Oh, Terry. Well, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's just a little bit hectic over here right now, but I got everything squared away. Bedtime. But
I got my Phil Spector hair on. Can you imagine? It looks like Mr. Cotter's hair, but it got old.
Are you Phil Spector, early trial, mid trial, or sentencing?
Well, I'm telling you, he had 2 trials. Now, what is curious to me? Okay, now I'm going to get into a little bit of him and Ronnie Spector. You know who Ronnie Spector is?
Yes, she did. She does the hook in that song. Be My Little Baby.
Married to him from 1968 to 72. She was the lead singer for the Ronettes,
Right.
that be my little baby, right? So she ends up getting away from him by running barefoot from the mansion in 1972. The divorce was through 74. She claims, the years of physical torment. And Lee's asking what the mailman's name was for Speedy Delivery. Speedy Delivery, Mr. Rogers. I can't remember. Postman something, right? Who knows?
Was it Mr.? No, I'm not. No, I think I'm thinking of Captain Kangaroo. I was going to say Mr. McFeely, but it's not. Is it Mr. McFeely?
Oh, Mr. McFeely. Oh, it could be Mr. McFeely. Now that's
Mr. McFeely.
I think it might be Mr. McFeely. I know,
McFeely.
right?
What are you talking about, McFeely?
That is Mr. McFeely.
Mr.
Postman. Why was he Mr. McFeely? That's scary.
I loved Mr. Rogers so much. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, but Mr. McFeely is disturbing.
I know, especially as a child. It's a children's show when you think about it.
Yeah, and he had like that bell which would attract children. Speedy Delivery, and he probably had kids all around him. It was probably easy to be McFeely.
Yeah.
Ugh. Right. So anyway, she claims to get divorced, psychological torment, but not physical abuse. So I find it kind of odd. It's odd to shoot somebody in the mouth. And he had shot that Lana Clarkson in the mouth. Now, I don't know. It seems odd. But
he might have been a bad shot. He might have not had a good aim or something. I don't know. I mean, he seemed guilty as hell to me. You know what I mean? Like there was quite a bit of evidence, I thought, against him. Was there or was there not?
Quite a bit.
Yeah, that's the thing. I ran out of time, so that's why I was asking. What kind of information
they were doing? I think they were doing some sort of sex play, and I think he put the gun in her mouth and he accidentally shot.
Oh, that sounds like a good theory. Yeah.
Because I mean, she was kind of like, trying to climb her way to the top, so to speak. And and I'm thinking that there was some sort of sex play that was going on, and that may have been accidental.
I could definitely see him doing it.
She was a B-movie actress, wasn't she?
Yes.
Yes, she was.
Yes, she was. Now, let me ask you, how many jurors is there?
12.
You would think they would put an uneven number so there would never be a hung jury.
They can't, because then it would be considered, it would be uneven. It has to be.
Yeah, they should have it uneven because basically they kind of just keep. I've never, it's very rare that you see somebody being deemed not guilty unless they've got a real good lawyer. Most of the time, it'll be hung jury, with as many trials as it takes until they say guilty.
That's the whole point of our judicial branch. They built it around. I see what you're saying, and I agree, because there has been a lot of people who've gotten off who shouldn't have because of hung juries. I mean, a lot of people. But if it's not fair from the get-go, then it's going to just be, there's not going to be faith in our judicial branches of our government.
Yeah, but if there's a hung jury, it doesn't mean that they're not going to be. It's just they will
be tried again. Yeah,
don't they?
Yeah,
most of the time.
On the other end, there's that Innocence Project. I was shocked at how many
were innocent.
Yeah, they get released because of DNA or whatever.
Yeah, right.
I don't know how those people always come out and they're grateful and they're happy.
Their life taken away.
Yeah, and not very many of them that I've seen, at least in the news, seem bitter.
Yeah, I know that. I noticed that too.
It's crazy how.
Well, I guess I'd just be happy to be out of jail too. But
I was bitter. I still have a grudge for one night. I had a misunderstanding with. I'm not going to get into, it's a long story, but it worked out in my favor. But I'm still bitter about that one night, that one misunderstanding.
Yeah, the judicial system really doesn't seem to be for the people. It's just the people who have money. Like even disability. Okay, look at disability. Everybody's thought process is where you're going to get denied. So your best thing to do is to get an attorney right away and figure this, right? It almost seems like a lot of things are like some agreement made up with the attorneys and these things that will make money, you'll make money, you know?
Yeah, I
like
think that
even
does seem to
domestic
happen
stuff.
too.
Attorneys are in good with the judges. Attorneys are in good. I've learned this the hard way through family court. Attorneys are typically in good with judges. You want to get an attorney that's very sociable with in their own
Judges,
courthouse that they work at.
Absolutely
And
agree.
typically if you are and you have an attorney who has that social status within their circle, yeah, things go a lot differently for you than, let's say, if you didn't have an attorney or you had one who is a public defender, or you know what I mean? It is definitely, but there is things in place to hopefully to prevent, there are, they have all their penal codes and their family law code. They do have, guidelines, right? Right.
I had an attorney like that too, that, I know one time and it was the family court draft, okay? Some criminal, not that I'm a criminal, just, like when it's family court and you're having a split up, you do things to each other like that you don't do them. They're little, but the court makes them big.
Well, and the family court system is the only system that allows hearsay into evidence. Yeah, that's the only court system that, yes, it's the only court system that will actually allow hearsay into a deposition or a declaration or into evidence.
Well, excuse me, California, is that by state? That's not. That's in California.
That's in California.
Okay.
Interesting question. Yeah, that's a good question.
Hey, listen, ladies, I'm going to get up and make a snack. I'm listening. Okay.
All right. If you want to come back on when you're done.
Yeah. Well, I'm here in the kitchen. I'm going to be right next to the table. I'm going to get a snack going, but I'm listening. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. With the George Floyd trial, they will actually, that guy, I think it was something McDonald, and he had gotten shot 16 times, but I believe he fell on the first, bullet or whatever. I didn't see 16 shots coming at him in the video, but they don't play the audio. So, but the kid is walking away from the cops. I mean, they're swarmed on the highway, the cops. Blocking highways, and this kid is exiting wherever, just walking with pants down. I'm not putting him down.
Which case was
with
this?
A swagger. Huh?
Which kid was this?
Laquan McDonald or something McDonald, and
okay.
That was Jared or Jason Van Dyke was his last name. Okay.
Yes, I remember this. Yep.
Yes, and he actually ended up going to jail for second degree, and he keeps getting moved around because he gets beat up. That particular case now has set a precedent. So, yeah, that will make a big difference now in prosecuting police officers.
My thoughts on George Floyd are not popular, and I actually had my mom and my grandma get so mad at me that they didn't want to talk to me for a minute.
Have you ever heard of Tony Timpa?
Yes, I have. That was murder. That was murder. That was murder. Yeah, they murdered him. Yep.
Murder. Yep.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Any of those people who are protesting what happened to George Floyd have blood on their hands because they didn't care that Tony Timpa was white.
They did not, and he got no justice.
No justice.
I mean, none.
No justice, no civil wrongful death suit.
Nothing.
No nothing. He got nothing. He got an immediate break. 14 minutes. They did what they did for 14 minutes, and they were laughing.
They were laughing and cracking jokes. And if you noticed, they had him restrained. He could not move his head. He could not.
He was already, he was already handcuffed when they got there. He
Yes,
called
he
the police
was.
himself.
Yes. Do you know that story, Katie? Have you heard about that guy before, Tony Timpa? Did I send you that by any chance? I feel like I might.
I don't know that story.
He
Can
was
you
a.
play it on the screen? Can you play the?
I wish
There's a
I could.
6-minute one too, but maybe you could. I know it's
I
long, but
can't. I
okay.
can't from my phone because it'll knock me out if I can get on my laptop. But
And then
I could
Facebook
drop a
Live the
link.
screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tiffany, you're
Okay, yeah.
right.
Drop the link at least. The Tony Tiffany.
Yeah.
Do the 6-minute one. Now, I actually got a message back from his mother. That made me feel so good. That was
Oh,
on
you
Facebook.
messaged?
Yeah, well, she watched my video.
Whose mom?
You watched? You did a video on Tony?
Yes, I did.
Wow, good for you.
It makes me so angry.
It made me so angry too.
Angry.
Tracy, Survivor Girl. It made me. I had the same emotions as you did about that. You and I have never talked about this.
George Floyd's family and a memorial, and this guy had no police record. He called the police himself, and
because he had mental health issues and he was struggling. And yeah. He said, I need help. I have this wrong with me.
Yes, he had done cocaine.
I'm paranoid.
So they say.
So they say.
Yep. And it took her years to get them to release that body cam. She said, and what makes her angry is that for 2 years, she was like, she thought how kind the police were when they came and broke the news to her that her son had a heart attack on the side of the road. She didn't know how he died.
That's what they told her?
Yep, he had a heart attack. He was flagging down the ambulance and went into cardiac arrest. And then it took her years to get that body cam footage, and they kept throwing it out.
Nobody said his name. Nobody said his name.
Nobody said his name. Nope.
No, they didn't.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Katie kicked herself out, and I didn't notice.
Oh.
I do that I literally do that every live stream. I end up kicking myself out at least.
And I'm looking at it going, oh look, Katie changed her avatar. That's nice. But it wasn't. It was that you kicked yourself out and it went to a different thing.
Oh, it did? There's Katie.
Katie not saying anything.
Well, you know what's so funny? My opinions on George Floyd have nothing to do with race. Nothing.
Mine either, but they say that it does, right?
No, but that's not fair. It's not fair. It has nothing to do with the color of his skin because his death had nothing to do with the color of his skin. I'm going to say it. It didn't. He had a drug overdose. But
even if it did have something to do with the knee of the neck, if they would have cared about Tony Timpa and not the color of his skin.
Listen, they had to keep him restrained for his safety. They had to keep him restrained for his safety and for the safety of the officers.
I'm talking about Tony Timpa.
Yeah. Oh no, Tony Timpa.
When that happened in 2016.
Yeah.
If people would have protested the police brutality there and not looked at the color of the victim.
Yeah.
Then
nobody cared.
That's why these protests were not about police brutality. They were not about color to them.
It was pander.
Right. There's a bigger picture too. A lot of times in the Black community, white and Asian or Mexican cops, whatever, are the only adult figures that they see in some of the poor neighborhoods. I'm going to come out and say that. But you get some of the more poor.
I don't think that. I think that they're more racist than we are sometimes.
Absolutely. There's some really good reads on that. And I used to correspond with the author, Colin Flaherty. He's a journalist. He helped get a Black man that was wrongfully convicted of raping a white woman. He got him released from prison, but he wrote some good books. And
and recently, you know that story about Candyman, on Halloween kind of thing.
Yes.
Now that comes from a guy who, those pixies, those pixie sticks with the sugar inside.
Yes.
And it would really be hard to, but I think the big plastic ones, the longer ones, not the little ones. Okay. Now those would be hard to tamper with, open up and reseal plastic. I could see the paper, but These were big enough so that when the sugar had hardened inside, he rolled it in his hands to break it up and poured it down his son's throat, right? But it was Halloween. There was 5 of them. They all were getting to eat one candy or something, and that's what his kid picked. So each kid had one, though, in their bag. One kid remembered the house that he thought was the one that they had gotten the pixie sticks from. So the kid had a recollection of getting pixie sticks from a house on Halloween. And that father just got executed for the death of his son. And never would say that he did it up to the death. I don't think he did do it.
Yeah. So it was poisoned. The pixie stick was poisoned, and the kid died.
Yep.
Oh God.
Yeah. Well, apparently all the children that were there had poison in their pixie sticks, and they claimed that he did it for life insurance.
Yep, I saw that. But the thing is this: they do that to a lot of people. If you say you had life insurance on somebody and you're poor and can't afford a good attorney, and the cops have already wasted all their time blaming you. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine being the father and you can't even go to your son's funeral, knowing you didn't do it. You know, in the beginning,
I've experienced personally firsthand police corruption. I have gone through it, and I mean, when I say gone through it, I mean I've truly gone through it. But hold on one sec.
Yep, Minnie thinks that he did it. I want to hear Minnie, like, why, like, because I didn't read. But I didn't feel like he did it. I feel like it was just based on the fact that there was a life insurance policy. And I think it would be really hard to stand there in front of a bunch of people and pour. You know, how do we not know he didn't eat some other candy without his dad looking? Did they look at the contents of his stomach? Like, you know, all that stuff.
Oh, I'm sure they did all that, but if the kids remember getting those from did they look at that? Did any other kids in the neighborhood get poisoned pixie sticks, or was it just at that house? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of. How long ago was this?
A while ago, a long time ago.
Mini Monster says he did it.
I want to say it was like in the 80s, because that was back when, you know, there was the big, huge scare. Like,
I remember that, Katie.
I want to say the late 80s or early 90s, but I want to say late 80s. And that's when people were taking their candy to get an X-ray. And
you know what? You could be right. I think it was 1987 or something like that.
Yeah, it was like the late 80s. And I remember this story very well because it was kind of scary to think that a parent would do that. But apparently,
you want to hear something scary a parent would do? I recently read that now, you know, this guy's trial has come up, but he had done it like a few years ago. He killed his wife. It was in California, mind you. Killed his wife on Christmas Eve, and on Christmas morning, propped her up on the couch with sunglasses on while the kids were opening their presents, and told the kids, "Mommy's drunk. Look, she's ruining Christmas Day, Christmas morning."
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's awful.
Like Bernie's or something like that.
My mom, she's just a little bit wasted. Look at her ruining Christmas and she's dead. Oh, that's so sad.
That's terrible.
I don't mean to laugh, you guys, but that's
awesome, right? I know, like you can have Bernie's Christmas special, yeah.
How did he kill her? That she was not like bloody or
they had gone to a Christmas party. And
probably strangled her or something, you know, or suffocated her.
She was. I'm not gonna. She was black, but so if he strangled her, I mean, does that show?
The neck doesn't bruise very easily. Anyways, the neck is it's incredibly hard to actually bruise. Typically, what will happen?
Turtleneck.
Yeah, she could have, but
she may not have been dead long enough for rigor mortis to kick in too. So
yeah.
Oh, maybe that's why she wasn't flopping over, because the rigor mortis. He probably sat her in like a chair that was like in the kitchen with like a bottle of whiskey out.
Yeah.
Leave mommy alone. Her head's on the table. Leave mommy alone. She's drunk.
Well, and if he strangled her, her capillaries and her eyes would have burst, and it's probably why.
Sunglasses on.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the house too. Yeah. Stay away from mommy. Really... She's drunk. She shit herself.
Oh, that's awful. People are sick, man. That's all I know.
Now I'm laughing.
Yeah, people are really,
I'm a better
really,
person
really
because
sick.
of Tiffany. I laugh at dead people. No.
No, don't start that. Yes.
Who's Jeff Stealing? There was a Jeff Stealing.
Huh?
Who's Jeff Spieling?
Yeah.
It's Barium.
Barium? Okay.
Yeah.
Barium Swallow.
Barium barium exposure. Swallow. Yeah, barium he was texting
I'm
me.
Monica 7. Tiffany is Summer's Eve. Is he with his back still?
I hope I'm not intruding. I hope I'm not intruding here. I don't want to.
No, you're fine.
Carrie, you're KY.
Girl
KY. I'm like an empty bottle of KY jelly. Who would go through a whole bottle of KY jelly in one night?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hold on one second, guys. I'm getting a phone call. Hold on.
I'm talking about those Janice Dickinson videos they thought, Secular made.
Yeah, I don't know why she thought I made that.
I guess because you're the most perverted one at one point.
Am I?
At one point you were, until I think people
I don't know who that is. I really don't, and I'm not even going to even try to guess. It's just
And I don't even care, quite frankly. You know what I mean? It's obviously somebody who really doesn't like Debbie.
Yeah.
But I mean, and they are pretty vulgar, and I don't think any of us get that vulgar.
Yeah,
I think Debbie pretty much ignores them anyway. It seems like she's not really saying anything about them.
Now you can't even barely understand them anyway, right?
Yeah. Me and Debbie have actually talked on the phone and corresponded. We both have autistic kids. I don't do that kind of stuff.
I have an autistic child. I have a nonverbal autistic child as well. So.
Oh, do you really? Me and Tiffany does too. Mine's 9.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys think, now Secular, your daughter's young, okay?
Yeah, she's 9.
Do you guys think that MMR or whatever it is, that vaccine, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Tiffany would.
Like vaccines cause autism, you think?
I don't know what I think. I'm asking you guys.
I'm not a scientist.
I don't know. I don't know. I think in our situation, it was hereditary because my son, he's 7, his father has 2 sons from a previous marriage that are also on the spectrum.
Yeah, but how old are they?
They're higher functioning. There's one's 15 and the other's 13.
Yeah,
that's the point I'm saying is that, see, I think within that 10 years, okay, of when I had kids to when you guys had kids, that they did something different in the vaccine.
It's possible.
Well, there's a lot of variables. There's older dads. There's a TED Talk. This one lady, scientist, doctor, I can't think of her name. It's an Asian lady, gave a TED Talk on it. She said the vaccine, it's not true, the vaccine, and she argued her.
No, that's not true because there's medical evidence that it does. If your kid has a mitochondrial disorder,
that's exactly what you prudently was saying about the MM something.
Yeah, look at the number of children in Michigan alone. Okay, I'm just going to use this as an example. My son was born in Michigan. Okay. There's a lot of children. I mean, look at the numbers of kids in Michigan alone.
And look at the water, though. Wasn't it affected by lead?
There's got to be something environmental going on.
Right.
Because it's just astounding to me.
I've always thought it was the lead and stuff in the I was always thinking
here's what I think, you guys, is I think it's a combination of things. I think it's partially genetic. I think it's partially due to toxicity in our environment, the mom's bioload at the time of conception, the father's age, the quality of his sperm. I think it's a huge cocktail of things that all kind of come together. That's because that's why you have
older dads.
Why it's a that could be a possibility. That's why it's a spectrum disorder. Yeah, and that's the thing, though, is you don't have one autistic child that's going to be identical to the next.
When did they start doing GMOs?
VMOs?
GMOs, you know?
Oh, GMOs?
Genetically
I don't
modified.
know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. Not that long ago, in the past decade, I think.
Yeah, I think it really, not that past, I think at at least 20 years, because and I think that, and they were not allowing farmers to buy any other seeds that weren't, that genetically modified. So, I think that, remember when the young kids were like teenagers and we were saying, wow, they're so much more developed, like physically developed. You remember? I must increase my bust. Doesn't look like they need to do that anymore.
Right.
And the guys, the boys, the young men, even they were cut. I mean, they were like, but the girls, for one,
no, I fully agree. Like, I mean, if you look at just the different, Tiffany's trying to get back in.
okay.
At how kids are maturing much faster. It's there got to be the chemicals in the food. But I mean, I also think I was also older. I was 39 years old when I had my 7-year-old. So,
well, the other thing to keep in mind too is that we're much better and we're much more knowledgeable about detecting this now. Like in the past, this isn't new.
This is the thing. As somebody who saw, the time when autism, to what I saw was not saw. Yeah, well, I did see. Like, I did have friends who had their kids could not talk. There was no high functioning autism. There was, autism where they're not talking. They're still good, but they're not talking. Or like I would look at Cass,
like
and he was autistic.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. It's
to
hard
me,
to see it in Cash.
Represents not talking.
Well, see, the thing is with him is he didn't talk until he was nearly 4, and he had classic symptoms of autism in his young age, his toddler years, from about 12 months to about, where you could really notice it until about 4.5, 5 years old. I mean, we're talking, he did the hand flapping, he rocked, he stacked things, he lined things up, he was self-injurious, he threw fits, we had to use sign language, he had every symptom that you could imagine that goes along with a typical autistic child. And he also had the biomedical aspects. But the thing is with autism, what they realize now that they didn't realize then is that every autistic child, Temple Grandin, who's a very famous autistic adult person, and she said in a book she wrote once, she said, when you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person, meaning none of them are going to be identical.
No,
That's why it's a spectrum disorder. And the thing is I do agree that our environment, I think, has circumvented the issue and raised the numbers because we live in a very toxic environment. But I also think that our ability to diagnose has gotten better, our awareness has gotten better. But I do think in the recent years, I do agree with you that, yes, there's something going on to where you have these kids who are falling. And, the other thing with it, too, is sometimes some kids grow out of some of these things. Sometimes some kids,
and that's the thing. Like, I mean,
it's a regressive. It's a regressive and then regaining disease, not disease, but disorder. So you have autistic kids who will make a lot of progress and then they'll regress way, way, way back, and then they'll make a lot of progress again.
I think that has something to do with the drugs, like, or something like that they give. But listen to this, right? They were saying too that the education system gets so much to say, okay, we need this for the special ed programs, but the amount that they're spending on the program is very low, much lower than what they're getting. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's almost like, how they get this pandemic relief package that is huge, like billions, and then everybody got 1,200, which that wouldn't be. I know the 600 too, but when you look at the grand scheme of how much billion it was or whatever, and how many millions going to a billion.
A lot of that money went to special interest groups and different causes that had nothing to do with the pandemic. That's just government for you. You know what I mean? Like a lot of that money went to.
A lot of things are government, even the mental health stuff. And what they do is even like, okay, unsupervised probation. What the heck is that? Like, why be on probation if you're unsupervised? Right? You don't got to check in at all, but you're on probation. And, you know, because I know somebody that, you know, broke their probation order, right, on me. You know, I didn't have a probation order. They had the probation order, but they, you know, whatever. And the unsupervised probation officer he had said, didn't do anything, didn't, you know, cite him for it, whatever. It was not a big deal. And I said, I remember I was kind of a little put off by it. And I said, so what is he? Just something that you include in your count of your caseload so you guys can get more money? You know, when you
Basically,
like tally up your caseloads and how much money you're going to need, but you're really not.
they really don't. They don't enforce a lot of probation. You know what I mean? It really has to be blatant in their face. They don't violate a lot
Well, this
because
was
it's
waiting in their face. He had gotten, the police said, go to the judge, get the restraining order. And if the judge extends it, which he did for 2 years, bring that to his probation officer so you can see that, you know, so he can see. But instead, he didn't. He just kind of like laughed. But the whole phrase unsupervised probation.
I want to bring something up, and I'm not trying to be provocative or anything like that. And it's something I noticed, and I thought I might make a video on it. And before I say what I've noticed, I think it might be due to the fact that more women ever than now are pursuing careers, and they're in the workplace, and they're dealing with a lot of, you know, the stresses, you know, in the workplace, you know, the competition and wage issues, whatever that men have been dealing with for years. It seems to me women are getting more in American society, more aggressive, more violent.
I don't know who's more aggressive than somebody with the initials PE.
What's that? I'm not trying to be a misogynist.
We're losing our genetically natural hierarchy within society. I agree with you on that. I think I'm not a feminist in any way. I do believe in equal rights. I do believe in equal rights, but I'm a little bit old school in my values and think in understanding the fact that, yeah, there's a genetic hierarchy within a family unit, within society, where women have different skill sets and different abilities than men do. Therefore, that's why women are women and men are men, and we shouldn't dishonor that.
That is true. If I was like in a burning building, like a tall burning building, and a woman fireman came up to fucking carry me, she better be looking like a man. You know? Because I'd be afraid, like some like 120-pound woman carrying me down. I'm 131 pounds. I'd be like, can you send up the cute guy, please?
Well, so if I showed up, you wouldn't be pleased to see me.
Right. Well, just the feminists from the 70s and before that were fighting for better pay, better equal opportunities, or whatever.
I understand that I agree with, but as far as like just the overall attitudes of where, you know, women don't want to have like the role of being, you know, nurturers and mothers and you know what I mean. Well, I think that's definitely caused a lot of problems within the family unit in general. That's why divorce rates are so high. That's why.
And then there's
Western women aren't as interested in being feminine. It just seems
I laugh at myself.
I'm seeing a lot of reports now of women attacking people and flipping out at the Secretary of State, fighting with the cops, attacking Uber drivers. Fighting.
Yeah, but behind the scenes, men are beating up women and not getting in trouble.
I know. I'm not saying men are innocent. I'm not saying.
Right. I think women have always been crazy like that. Like, look at all the moms that kill their kids and all that.
You know what? That is something too. More women are defined as crazy than men.
Okay.
And it's not fair to, you know, say crazy cat lady, but if a guy has 7 dogs, he's not crazy dog guy.
True. If a woman goes out and has sex with a different guy every week, she's a whore. If a guy does it, well, they're not.
I don't know, Katie. No, I'm not sure about that now, Katie. I think women are. It seems to me they're more sexually liberated now. Women are actually taking.
No.
There's still a lot of stigma. There's still a lot of stigma.
A cure.
there's a lot of stigma around women and their sexuality. There's a ton of it. I mean, look at what happens. Look at what happened. Look at what happened to me. Okay, over something that was private. That should have never been.
Look at it. Have you got it on video? No,
well, yeah. Somebody's been sharing the link again, which is so pleasant. But if you look at what happened to me, something that was shared privately, I was ostracized and judged. And
so, what was it? Nude photos?
Something of that sort. Yeah, it was shared privately.
So look at my body. At least people want to share it. I saw some of yours, and they said, "Never show this to anyone. You'll make people blind." It was one of those, do not click on this link.
Your OnlyFans. I'm going to get an OnlyFans.
That should be your response. Do not click on this link.
Are you ladies right? Hey, are you ladies gonna subscribe to my OnlyFans? I'm gonna get a bikini wax.
You're gonna wear fucking what are those bikini swimmers?
I'll wear some briefs.
A banana hammock? Are you gonna wear a banana hammock?
Whatever you want, I'll take requests.
You should wear a man thong.
Okay.
Some dental floss. That would fucking gross me out so bad.
I heard that
it would be the swim.
You should wear a man thong and film yourself doing chores around your house or vacuuming and stuff.
Okay.
What I was gonna do? I was gonna put a spotlight behind me, right? So that all you could see was the shadow, and then I was gonna crouch to the floor like an alien and make weird jerky motion because I'm bald, right? So and be oh, this was caught on a back alley against a wall. What is it? It looks like it's looking at me. It tilt my head like I'm all curious and stuff and inquisitive. And then I crawl closer, but because the bald head.
Tracy, we can say you're the next Slender Man or something like that. We could film your shadow.
I'm the rape.
Oh my God. What happened to the Blue Man group though? I thought we were going to do the Blue Man group.
We could do that too. Nobody's going to recognize me. I'm never going to be because I'm going to be blue in the Blue Man group. And then I'm going to be a shadow. Oh, you know what they could call me? The Trace. And I'll trace my shadow like graffiti, and I'll graffiti the Trace. Right? Everywhere. And they'll be trying to find me. This weird alien creature has been leaving its mark all over the city.
Sounds like a superheroine.
Yeah, that's coming when I get my full Spector hair.
Hey, we got it. We got the East Coast. We got somebody from the East Coast and the West Coast.
What color are you going to dye your full Spector hair, though? I think you should dye it purple.
I'm going to put those stripes in it, like the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Katie, where are you from? I'm in Michigan.
Oh, I'm from Ashland, Kentucky, and that's where I live now. But I lived in Kalamazoo, Michigan, for about 6-7 years.
Well, listen, we got somebody from the East Coast, somebody from the West Coast, somebody from the South, and somebody from the Midwest.
There you go.
We got to eat somebody from the East Coast. Eat somebody. Right.
We're all representing
the Four Corners of America buffet. Welcome.
What was the temperature for everybody today? How was the weather today?
It got cold here. Warm yesterday.
Pouring rain.
It got to be about 70 here today. But
it was rainy though.
We had a little bit of rain, but we had a little bit of a thunderstorm, and then it cleared right up, and it was beautiful.
How about you,
Tracy?
You live
in Kentucky, right? You're in Kentucky. Have you ever seen Sasquatch?
What?
Bigfoot.
Sasquatch. Oh no, never.
No. How about Rockwatch? Rockwatch. Rockwatch. We're looking for the ever elusive Rockwatch. You can smell it, but you can't see it.
We can tell you. We know where that's at late at night. in the
Yeah, we're
basement.
out late. We were all wearing nose plugs, searching for rock frogs.
You would have been the funnest person to play pretend with when you were a kid, because
I'm
I
the
pretended.
best person to role play sexually with. No, so I'm kidding.
Really? Nice.
No, I'm only saying that because Terry was here the other night when in my house, and I was no sorry.
Whoa.
He wasn't. I was the tenant that was late paying my rent, and Terry was the landlord coming to collect.
That's right.
What's
And I'll say, you'll be coming to collect. Wink, wink.
nose? What's nose for Ratu?
Nosferatu. I probably spelled it wrong.
Vampire. He's a vampire,
Yeah,
isn't he?
the vampire.
A demon, yeah.
Oh,
One of the
My
coolest
son
looking
likes it.
vampires ever.
oh, really?
He's
I'm
the
not up on the
bald-headed
vampire.
with the really, really dark eyes and really sharp, pointy teeth, like the really old school. I'll just Google it. Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
Did
Okay,
you block Jeff Stealing?
I did.
Why?
Oh, you said somebody blocked Jeff Spieling.
No, I said
When they
remove that comment. Oh, I feel bad.
Oh, I didn't. Because I came in the chat and the first thing I heard you say was somebody blocked Jeff Spieling. So I was like,
No, someone removed the comment about Ollie. Then I said, well, I just said her name, so forget about it.
oh, I missed that part. Okay, hold on one sec. I'll fix it. I'll be right back.
Yeah, can you unblock him? Yeah. Poor guy. I was just trying to, because I know that every live, not poor, he's been, a little off Spanish to me, but whatever, too. But, I'll take any support I can get. No, sorry, I'm only kidding. No, I don't mind Jeff right now. He's been polite.
Wow, Max.
Who's Max?
Max is my son. He's my 7-year-old son. He's sitting here right next to me.
Hi, Max. Be good. Listen to Mom.
He doesn't really talk much, but he's.
Does he know who Bigfoot is?
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah, I mean, he uses some words, but he does a lot of sign language, and he uses his little tablet to communicate.
Right.
But yeah, we're coming a long way. We're doing OT. We're doing ABA therapy.
You know what?
Chloe does all that.
Yeah, but listen to this, okay? I've heard about that. More kids are using those tablets to communicate. Right?
Yeah, it's really great.
No, it's not.
You don't think so?
No. Because it is allowing them to start using the tablet to communicate, where it means they don't have to learn how to talk.
Some of them can't. Some of them can't.
No, but listen,
some of them just can't.
Some of them can't. But you won't ever know if they just start using the tablet.
But there's adult autistic people out there who are in their early 20s or early 30s who've never said a word, who are now speaking in paragraphs, this eloquent language.
Yeah, but I'm not
linguistics.
talking about that. I'm talking about with little kids.
Well, it helped Cash a lot. I mean, Cash, we used a lot of tools to get him to talk. We used sign language. We used PECS books, which were a picture pointing type of activity where if he wanted something, he had to either sign or point in PECS. And then we escalated it to, okay, he had to either sign, point in PECS, and try and pronounce the word. Not say the word, just try and pronounce it.
But he's probably going to end up one of those people who knows like 4 different languages.
He knows how to spell. He knows how to spell very well for his age, I have to say, because we had such an emphasis on his speech from such a young age.
Thing, right? That a lot of parents use flashcards and stuff to bring out their child speaking. It doesn't mean, like, he started speaking before he passed that curve where they say, oh, then, like I think it's 5 years old or something, where they say, if a kid is like living on his own. The way I heard about it was some kid was in the wilderness. He ended up in the wilderness and living with like the parent. For some reason, he was with, wild dogs or something, right? And so he was past that age where when they found him, that he could learn to speak.
I think that's a myth. I don't believe that.
But yeah, Max has come so far, and Tiffany can tell you just in talking to him and stuff. He calls her pretty girl. That's what he calls her.
I love.
He calls her pretty
No, I'm
girl.
not
And
doubting it. I don't take any offense. I'm just saying within that 10 years.
no. He's not because of the tablet. It's because of speech, and I think it's because he's building up confidence too. Because I think a lot of it with him might have just been that he lacks the confidence. But he's doing a lot better.
Remember the movies though, when they would say it would be the future. It was going to be the future, and everything was like virtual, like even sex and everything was virtual. Your vacations were virtual. People were, not really conversing anymore. It's like they could look at each other, and it was almost like text in their head. It's almost like we really are moving towards that or something.
So what you're saying is neurotypical in the future will be more of like somebody on the autism spectrum, and neuro diverse will be more like how we are now in the future, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've heard that too. I've heard that too, actually. I've heard that. I've listened to a lot of different people give talks about that, and it's mostly people who really promote that are mostly adult. I don't even want to say autistic people. I want to say more Asperger people who really promote.
That's why I'm saying that 10 years makes a big difference in what we saw as autism, and then when they changed it to the spectrum thing.
Yeah, they have this big hashtag thing going on Twitter with these young adults, and it's called my autism or my. Shoot, I can't remember now, but I've gotten some heated debates with some of these people because they're really against the traditional therapies that really helped my son. They're against ABA therapy. They're against, just a lot of the things that help. And they say it was
what
abuse.
I'm saying about Cash is based on the way they used to diagnose people as autistic. Cash isn't autistic. Based on the way people that are 10 years older than Cash, it's that group where it seems are people who are in their 20s now. That 10 years is when that spectrum came around instead. They were just there was a different way of diagnosing.
He's definitely on the spectrum. I mean, he's been. Yeah.
I've known Tiffany for a long time.
No, I'm not saying that he's not on the spectrum. Like they put him on but based on the way they used to diagnose before they came out with that spectrum. Like they changed the criteria.
They did change it.
That's a bird.
They did change the criteria. Oh wow!
Chloe, I asked Chloe what that was.
Good job on that.
I asked Chloe what it was.
I didn't hear what Baby Jane said. What?
She said it's a bird.
I was talking about the coloring that his daughter made. She did really well.
Oh, your daughter made that?
Yeah, she said it's a bird. I asked her what it was, and she said,
"But that's beautiful.
It's a bird."
Well, that's how she sees a bird. There you go.
Yeah.
No, but that's beautiful.
Terry,
I thought that was a real painting. I didn't think that was a child's painting or something. I thought it was real.
That's good. Beautiful. She vocalized that to you too. That she must have been very proud to actually,
Yeah, she just kind of said it real fast. She said, "It's a bird," under her breath. So she talks silently when she says.
Does she do echolalia like Max does, where she repeats things? Like she'll sing songs.
Yes.
Yeah, Max does that too.
She does She used to go Yui.
She did the diggas too, right, Terry? She was a digga.
Yeah, she said that. She said that.
Yeah.
She does echolalia. If I'll say
you guys, though, your kids are home now, right? There's a lot of measures with this pandemic where it's creating where they can't see their friends as much anymore.
Well, for my son, he doesn't like socializing with people. It's part of his. He doesn't really like being around other kids. He doesn't really do well with them. He also has self-injurious behaviors where he will self-harm, and he has been known to attack other children. So
Chloe's done that.
Yeah, and he fecal smears on occasion. Does Chloe fecal smear to you on occasion?
Not to my knowledge. I'll have to ask her mom about that. But she's bit her arm. She gets frustrated and she'll bite her hand. And
he bites his hand. We have gloves we have to put on him. Weighted vests I put on him. He also likes to elope So we usually put a harness on him when he goes out because he'll run and he won't stop running.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. That terrifies me. I hate that.
I hate that too.
What I do to restrain Chloe is I'll like take her arms and her legs and press her against me and her head. I'll press it against me. And she'll say, I respect, and that calms her down. And like when
She
she
likes the
doesn't run in the
pressure.
road anymore.
Yeah,
But
they do. They
Yeah.
love that pressure. They like that weight. That's why he has
Can
a
I,
weighted
can
blanket.
Baby Jane, have you ever taken a Max to when they have tracks at high school where you can walk or run?
I have taken him before, but I'll tell you this: you let him go for a second, he just runs and he won't stop. It's like Forrest Gump in the movie where he just ran and ran and ran and ran until he decided to
Take
stop.
him and
That's my
say, you know what? You say, you know what, Max? I was thinking, you're a great runner because they're usually all fenced in too, and they're in an area where there's
we
not,
are.
high traffic.
He will run and run and run and run, and
In
it's
the
like
circle, though, right? In the circle.
no, he just goes
they
wherever he
sprint.
wants.
It's a
Yeah,
sprint.
it's a sprint, and it's like you have
Well,
to
then time
sprint to
him.
catch
Just,
up with
maybe
him.
that's something he loves, and he doesn't
Yeah,
know it, and you don't know it. And you guys don't know it yet.
They don't have the problem. The thing that happens with these kids is that they don't have a very good understanding of how their body is in relation to time and space and distance and area and location. They're devoid of that. So when they see a big open area or if they see something without walls, they're they have an inability to put their body in that time and that space and that location. So they just take off. And
Yeah.
it's really hard. Yeah, it's
Now,
really hard
to
to.
to like to empathize with me or understand what I say, you have to see that what I'm hearing is autism, right? As diagnosis. Your kid, Cash, likes to go to school and talk. And
Oh,
where
he hates going
Katie's
to. He
son
hates going
doesn't
to
talk
school. Yeah.
and is what they would call low end or nonverbal, whatever it is, she said, and
yeah,
this is
he's
high
very
end
low.
verbal.
Max is very low functioning. Yes.
Right. Yes, low functioning, high functioning. That's it. Not high end, low end. I'm sorry to say. So you see, I'm seeing the same word for total opposite behavior.
But I would tell you this: in the time that I met Tiffany, like 5, almost 6 years ago,
No, I'm not
Cash
blaming
wasn't.
Tiffany. I'm thinking it's
No, no, no,
the
no.
whole
I just want to say
the
this: Cash wasn't much. He was just. He still wasn't talking an awful lot. He was still having
No.
socialize. A lot of the problems Max has today, Cash was having when I first met Tiffany. And through
Yes.
Tiffany working with him and getting him therapies outside of school and in school, I mean, and being consistent with him and keeping him on a
Yes.
schedule. And I
I did
mean, all
find it
the progress
weird that
that
Prudently
he's
said the
made.
change happened after that MMR with her daughter.
The
After that
MMR was
vaccine.
the MMR was detrimental to some kids, but they took the thimerosal out of it back in 2000 and I forget the date now, but they did take the preservative out, which was causing a lot of the problems. Now, the vaccine my son reacted to was the DTaP. The DTaP vaccination, which is now the Tdap, was a more problematic vaccination than the MMR, believe it or not. It just didn't get as much press. Cash had a genetic disorder which gave him a pre-existing sensitivity, let's call it, or a pre-existing um, almost like an allergy to a vaccination. So if he were to get vaccinated, which he did when his immune system wasn't up to par, which it never is because of his mitochondrial disorder, he has a weakened immune system, it does cause a reaction like he had. I mean, when he reacted to it, it was not even an hour after he got it, he had seizures. He was rigid. He was screaming. He was inconsolable. He was throwing up. He had a fever. It was immediate. This was like an hour after it really, started to come to head. And it was recognized as him having a reaction to the DTaP. Now, do I know how things would have gone if he had not have had that vaccination? I can speculate. I can tell you at 3 months old, he was repeating words. I could ask him what Mr. Owl said, and he would say, who? You know, he was 3 months old. He was tiny. He had good eye contact. He had good muscle tone. He had good dexterity with his fingers. He had totally normal development for a 3-month-old baby, if not advanced, right? After this incident happened, he checked out. He wouldn't respond to his name. He wouldn't look at me. He was having seizures. He was having gastrointestinal issues. He stopped developing at that point. He walked late. Everything was wrong. Like everything was wrong. And it just progressed, and it got progressively worse. And the only thing that saved me with him was the fact that I had a friend whose son had been diagnosed, and her husband died right before his diagnosis, or right after he was diagnosed. And so I kind of stepped in and took his role over with her. I went to the doctor's appointments, the therapy with her, just so she didn't have to be alone. And through Kyler, I learned a lot because I was right there. And this was years ago. I mean, this is 20 years ago now, you know? And so I recognized in Cash what was going on. I immediately knew. And I got him in therapy as early as anybody would take him, which was about 13 months old. And they didn't even know what to do with him at that age. You know, they all recognized what I recognized. They saw it. It was apparent. But at that age, they didn't really know what to do. I said, well, just do with him what you do with the youngest kids you work with, because it's just all going to be relative anyways, right? It's not going to hurt him. It's just play therapy, speech therapy, you know, things like that. So I quit my job and I worked with him round the clock. I read everything you could read about autism, about treatments, about intervention, about diets, about supplements, about biomedical. I read flipping everything. I had him in therapy 5 days a week. He started going to school at 3 years old. I mean, I worked my ass off with him.
Yeah,
and
reading is where it's at, and interaction like that, and spending all that time.
It's
yeah.
A lot of it with him too was diet. It was allergens in the home. It was
no, I mean for you, like you said, you read and you educated yourself on what you were dealing with instead of taking the word of, you know, doctors. Which a lot of times, like when I took my daughter one time, they were, you know, when they do the well baby check and they measure like the circumference of their head.
Yes.
You know, and they measured it. And the nurse said, oh, I think her head might be a little bigger than it's supposed to be. And I said, well, to me, she looked perfect, right? And I said, well, she was about 6 months old and 5 months old. And I said, well, what is that? What would that indicate? And she's like, oh, it could be a tumor, it could be something, you know, in the brain, right? So I was so like, I don't know. I called, you know,
makes you feel sick to your stomach, right? You feel a little nauseous when somebody,
So I called, I kept calling because I was like, okay, this was a nurse's practitioner, not the doctor. So when I named what doctor I wanted for primary care for my child, I said, Melissa Greenspan. I didn't say whatever physician's assistant was available, right? So I said, I want this well baby check repeated with the doctor. Turns out the woman had her finger in the tape measure.
Jesus.
Oh my God. Well, see that a larger head can be a sign of a lot of genetic disorders, autism even. I mean, it could be a sign of a lot of stuff.
And it's just a matter of like, you know, centimeters that they're, you know, deeming that, you know? And she had her thumb in the tape measure.
My son was my fourth child. I had my first child at 21. I mean, I have a 24-year-old, a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old, and then I have Max, who was, you know, kind of what I call my change of life baby, you know. And I just thought, you know, and I was in denial about a lot of things because, you know, each kid is different and how they, you know, fast they develop. And I just thought he was going to take his time talking. I figured he just didn't have a lot to say.
And it's not all that obvious either, Katie, when they're little. It's not really that visible. You know what I mean? Like you really can kind of excuse it away and just be like, okay, well, this will eventually come. This will eventually come. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to miss.
And his pediatrician didn't seem upset about it. At first, she was like, well, let's come back in 3 months and we'll see if he's progressed anymore. And because I would bring it up, it was like, he seemed to be on target with other things, but then behind on others.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing is it seems like Tiffany's doctor said, well, let's just, even though they're younger than normal, that we would do these things, let's just do what we do with the other people. Would just
No, it wasn't his doctor that had anything to do with it. It was our regional center in our state. His doctor told me basically I was crazy, that he's fine. Just his pediatrician told me to let him develop, that he is only, 8 months old, 9 months old, because his doctor did not want to.
You wanted him to talk at 8 months old?
No, I didn't. But my older son talked at 8 months old. Now his doctor didn't want to fully embrace the fact that the DTaP vaccine had anything to do with what had gone on with him. He really struggled with that. Okay. Mm-hmm. And what wound up happening is I went through my regional center, through my state, through my county, who provides services to disabled children, typically until they're 3 years old, unless they are so severely disabled, they're going to need lifelong care. So they age out normally at 3. So I contacted them as early as I could because Cash was having seizures. Now, his doctor did recognize the seizure activity and things like that. And we had gone through I can't ever remember what it's called, ECG. Seizures? Yes, he was having seizures at night, and he was having, it was terrifying. See, now, initially his pediatrician told me they were night terrors. I said, these are not night terrors. This child is inconsolable. Long story short, what wound up happening is I went through this process with the regional center. So then they give basically the referral to his pediatrician, who then has to refer you out to all the different parts of medicine that they check his hearing, his vision, they send him to a neurologist, they do brain scans, they do genetic, you meet with a genealogist, you go through this whole process, and it takes about 1.5 to 2 years typically. And what wound up happening was this. So I started this process with him, and his pediatrician was nice, but always kind of like, he always kind of
to forgiveness and accountability even for my own actions. Yeah, somebody's playing the live stream and rang true for me and her.
It's Terry. Terry.
What?
We can hear the live stream playing through your mic.
Okay, I just shut it off again.
Oh, okay. So anyways, long story short, what wound up happening is by the time he was about 2.5, or after we had gone through all this, is when he was diagnosed by his neurologist. Now, we had already had the diagnosis of his mitochondrial disorder at this point. Let me back up a little bit. When Cash was about 18 months old, we were at a well baby visit with his doctor, and he was really bad off at this point. And he started running up and down the hallways, wouldn't put his clothes on, was banging his head against the walls. And his pediatrician, was speechless. And he was just looking at me. And at that point, he was like, he says to me, we're not giving him it, because I've been fighting with him on more vaccinations. He said, we're halting all further vaccinations with him until you get your diagnosis back from the neurologist. And I'm not going to vaccinate him anymore, because him and I had been locking horns over this, right, for the prior 9 months or whatever, or 1.5 years. So we go to the neurologist at about 28 months. He was about 2.5. And that's when they diagnosed it. That's when they gave me his full diagnosis. And they said, that he was moderate to severely autistic, and that he would never have expressive speech, and that he would need lifelong care and everything else. And it broke my heart. Now, mind you, at the time, he'd already been in therapy for, 1.5 years. So I didn't really start to see anything change with him until I changed his diet and I did some other things. He didn't start to improve until about 3.5. You really started to see a change in him. But this doctor of mine in particular was really anti all of my dietary things I was doing, supplemental. He felt like I was wasting my time and gave me a hard time about it. His neurologist did. And he wound up apologizing to me down the line after he saw how much he had progressed. And he said, thank God you didn't listen to me. which I tell this story a lot because it's just a testament to, with your kids, you have to be your child's own general practitioner and really weed out.
And everything, because on the same in the same way, along the same lines, but in like the school thing is like with your kids when they go to school, check the teachers' work too. Like if they're if they're making if they're correcting something as right and it's wrong, or it's wrong and it's right, that can affect the future, the grade point average and everything for kids. So
well, like Katie's done a really good job with this with Max, even though he got diagnosed just maybe a year after Cash had his initial diagnosis. Maybe it was a couple years, but Max has progressed so much through her being diligent with his therapy, with his teachers, staying on top of things.
But in every field, because with my daughter, just a little story here is that my daughter, people used to say, "Why do you keep her paperwork? Why do you keep her paperwork? School papers through the years." Not through the years, but through the year, like the school year. And and so it was like the beginning of the school year, because they come out with that first report card pretty early on, and it was junior high school, and so they send home a progress report, and so these papers, they remember now. My daughter's 25, so she's 10 years ahead of you guys, kids. That's why I keep saying that 10 years, So I kept her papers, and she gets the progress report, and the math teacher had said poor quiz and test grades, and isn't returning homework. Here I had her homework papers corrected. Here I had her math and quizzes corrected, and they were good grades. So I brought them in. I called the meeting right away with her and the principal, and I said, "Do these look like poor test and quiz grades? Does this look like she doesn't do her homework?" And she had to retract it and write a note, like you were saying, apologize, because I wondered how many kids that teacher has ruined, because at junior high school, that's when your grade point average starts mattering.
And it affects the kid's self-esteem too, because if they're doing the work and not, like that's a big blunder on her part, that's for sure.
Yeah, and if I, hadn't had those papers, like if I would have listened to those people that were cleaning out the kid's backpack at the end of the day and just throwing the papers right in the trash, I mean, they probably, she could have done that to many kids and ruined their grade point average and ruined their future. They may not have had to go to summer school for math, her class, for shit they were doing good in. I just thought it was something that, was very important to, along the same lines as paying attention to every detail. Now, I wanted to ask you, baby Jane, where Tiffany says that the person that she saw said they were stopping any vaccines until they had gotten the, now, did your son get whatever more vaccines Tiffany's son would have needed? Did he get those?
I don't think she's here anymore, but I believe Max is fully vaccinated. Cash is caught up on his vaccine.
She's not mad at me, is she?
No. She left a message in the private chat. She said, "I have to jump off. Maxie is upset. Love you guys. Thanks." Yeah. He wakes up. She had to take care of her son. He has a hard time getting to sleep some nights, kind of like Cash does, and he was having some issues, so she had to jump out. She said
they said night terrors to them too, and so it's
She said, "Love you guys. Thanks for having me." So no, she's not upset. She's not upset at all. I promise you, she's not. You didn't say anything that would have made her upset. Hold on one second. I'm looking. Yeah, we do need to get the kids back in school, Lee. Mine are back on these crazy ass schedules. You wouldn't even believe the shit I have to. Oh my God, it's so stupid. I thought online school was bad. This is even worse because I just wanted to go back to normal.
Easy. It's like they try to, ever since Bush the son started his No Child Left Behind, and that was him who did that. Not, I know how every year they like to blame a different one, but it was him who did that. And they started to like they changed the way of how they were going to fund each geographical area, like for schools. So if it was, how based on how good they did on their, what are they called? Their, oh my God, it's the aptitude test, not SATs, but before that.
Uh-huh.
I
Their
can't think of the name.
the state testing.
Yeah,
The
it was something like the something tat or the something cat or something.
Yeah, I know what
Oh,
you're talking about. I can't remember the
yeah.
name either.
And not SAT, but something different. And they were gonna try to teach. Remember when they used to have cursive writing around the edge of the border of the room?
Uh-huh.
Well, they changed it to curly cues.
Cash wanted me to tell you something, Survivor Girl, when we were talking about cursive the other day in my live stream. And he wanted me to let you know that in third grade, his third grade teacher told him the whole year that in fourth grade, all they would use is cursive. They would not write in regular writing. All they would have to write in is in cursive in fourth grade. And he said he got into fourth grade and they didn't do cursive at all. And I don't know why he wanted me to share that with you, but I had forgotten.
Yeah, because I think after they did this, they changed all this. They took all the cursive borders down and they changed it to this curly Q shit that they were going to try to teach them. Which the older, old school teachers were like, this is ridiculous. And then even the new school people were like, this is ridiculous. Now remember, the parents of those kids, that 10-year difference in saying, were used to that being around the border of the walls. When it ended up being gone for a while and everybody just, so what he's saying is very perceptive and observant and so smart. He's, see, that's, he's on top of things. So
he's a very old soul.
Yeah, he's thinking. So now, can he write in cursive?
No, he can barely write in printing. His penmanship's very bad.
And that is why they did it. They're setting them up to fail. That No Child Left Behind was, a farce. It was to set up certain area kids. I mean, I'm telling you, to fail.
That No Child Left Behind, though, has saved my ass in a lot of areas of his education, though, because what that law did, the No Child Left Behind law gave these schools a period of time to address things that didn't extend over 30 days. So if you went to the school with a concern about your child, let's say you go to your school, your kid's teacher, and you say, I don't think my child is doing this, he's struggling with this, or I've noticed this behavior, I've noticed this. By law, what that does is they have to evaluate him or her. They have to bring in specialists in certain areas that it pertains to, and they have to give you an answer, and they have to give you a solution within 30 days of you making that complaint. Otherwise, they're liable for that child's, whatever the problem is. They become responsible for not getting them the help that they need. That's what ultimately that law does. The No Child Left Behind law is it gives the schools accountability for the development of the kids in their care.
Did they find that it was the vaccines?
The schools don't look into that aspect of it
because they've got 30 days, and that 30 days is the read between the lines kind of thing that you get, because the school or the doctors, how the other group said, we're not giving your son any more vaccination until we see what they come out with the diagnosis. So if they're held by a 30-day count, not the people who said that to you, but the people that they were saying were finding out what was going on with your son, right? Physically, neurologically, right? But they're the ones held to 30 days, right? That they've got to have that.
But by that point, if we were beyond that part of the diagnosis, really with Cash, it was more of a, where is he at now? I mean, all that did with the No Child Left Behind is it made them respond and made them respond quickly. But so there was no time lost.
You were past it when they came out with that law? Okay, I get it.
No. We were in the law, but as far as the vaccination issues and things like that, that was all settled and resolved within his.
No, but I'm saying when he said we're not going to give him any more vaccination.
Oh,
until?
his pediatrician? His pediatrician stuck to that and gave me an exemption from vaccines until he was about in 4th grade. By the time he was in 4th grade, his pediatrician says he's doing fine. I don't think there's an issue anymore. You need to vaccinate him. And he wouldn't give me the exemption. So what I then proceeded to do is I tried to find a doctor who would give me exemption because I didn't want to vaccinate him. And I couldn't find one at the time. And they excluded him from school because that's when in California, they had passed these really strict vaccination laws within our schools. It was when he was in 4th grade. So this was 2 years ago. He was exempt from school for a month and I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't keep him home from school anymore for this. You know, it was something that went against every fiber of my instinct with him.
Yeah.
And I had to get him caught up on his vaccines, and they did them all literally in 2 visits. And
But you said that they had removed some of the stuff that was causing, you know?
In the MMR they did, but there's still, I think, with certain kids, here's how I look at it.
You were up on your stuff. You were not, you knew what was going on daily, you know, in the news of vaccines. You know, you would read about them. You said you read everything.
I was very versed on vaccinations, yeah.
Right. And so they knew that you had all your T's crossed and I's dotted. And so when it came to, that's why you were exempt. You were one person. So it was easier to take somebody who was knowledgeable and do what they were saying than be exposed.
Yes, basically, yes.
You know what, Chloe says instead of no, she'll say yes. Yes means no. I told her teachers that, and they said they would work on it with her. Was that like, when you say no child left behind, is it like little things like that? Or
yeah, absolutely it is. Now, whether or not she understands that within 30 days is not, that's not really, but what they see, Chloe has more than likely, Chloe has something called an IEP with her school. And it's it's called an interventional educational plan. And what that is a specified educational plan for her based on her developmental delays and based on her different diagnoses with her autism and things like that. So, they sit down with the parents at least once a year and you go over this IEP and they make accommodations. They schedule special services for her with speech and occupational therapy and all these other things, right?
Right.
So when you have these IEP meetings, or if you need to make a change or an amendment or amendum or whatever it's called to the IEP, for instance, and why she's, why she's not processing, certain words, backwards and things like that. That would be something they would put in the IEP as a goal, and they would set a goal for her. Okay, by March of next year, she needs to understand that yes means yes and no means no, and not switch them.
But you know what? Have they said that to you, Terry? That she needs to be, is Tiffany right? Is she IEP? Is there
Yeah, she is that. I take her to her speech and her physical therapy sometimes.
Yeah, but that's out of school, right?
To be honest about it, I'll work with her on her painting, or I'll have her.
No, but what you're talking about, Tiffany, is being in like special ed classes, right?
No, not necessarily. Cash isn't in any. He doesn't have any. He's in.
But it's getting the state involved. And see, this is where I think, like, I feel like, do they want to medicate?
They don't make me do anything I don't want to do with him. And if they try to, I put my foot down. The only time I've ever bended was with the vaccines, and that was in 4th grade. And that's because they wouldn't let him back in school, and they wouldn't let me homeschool him because they didn't then change the laws that even if you homeschooled your children, you have to still vaccinate. I wasn't aware of the fact that you could homeschool out of the school district, which I then learned after the fact, but too much time had gone on. He'd missed way too much school. He was falling behind, and I couldn't wait any longer. So I vaccinated him with everything. Do I think it had an effect on him? Yeah, I do.
Tiffany.
I do.
Yeah, but I think you did good because you held off till they had changed something. I think you probably made a difference and you don't even know you did.
Yeah, you paid closer attention than life.
Yeah, and you made a difference probably for a lot of parents. You're probably part of the reason why they took certain things out of.
You give him melatonin. I give Chloe melatonin at night. 2 tablets.
I used to with Cash when he was little, but he built up a
Resistance.
tolerance. Yeah, tolerance to it, and it didn't work after a while. This is when he was really young. Now I've tried to get him to take it recently because he's been having some sleep issues again, and he wouldn't. He has got a lot of food problems. Like he doesn't like textures of foods and smells, and very,
A lot
very
of people don't
picky.
like textures. I don't like the
Chloe's
texture of liver.
very picky. Very picky. That's one of the autism.
Yeah, he eats
You know
about
that,
10
Tiffany,
things.
after talking to you tonight, I really think, I bet you changed a lot more in vaccines than you think you do.
Well, I used to do a blog and I used to go on podcasts and things like that. And here's the problem that I wound up having. As I became more educated about it, I also became more aware of the positivities of the vaccination, and believe it or not. And I realized that early on when I was promoting a lot of these things, I didn't understand what I needed to from the aspect of the actual mechanics of the vaccine, because I'm not a doctor, right? So I was going around preaching and praying and waving my flag, but I didn't fully understand what the hell I was saying. I read all these peer-reviewed studies, but I didn't know how cells work and immune systems. And, it wasn't until I got on Twitter a few years ago, I had a group of doctors who all came to me privately because they were anti-vaccination people, right? And they all pulled me aside. Like 13 different people came to me on their own and said, listen, you're way too smart to be running with these people. What are you doing? They're like, they all understood that. Basically, what most of them said to me was like, you're the only person on here with your story with your son that is actually, believable. Most of these mothers on here, they're just kind of kooky. And they actually signed me up for online courses in immunology and about different things about cells through Yale and all this stuff. And I took these courses, and then I understood a little bit better what I was talking about. And would I not promote vaccine? Would I say it's not safe to get vaccines now? I wouldn't. But what I would say is that it's way too many, way too soon. I don't think a little baby should be pumped with all these different
Viruses.
Yeah, I don't think they should be pumped with all the preservatives. I don't think a lot of their systems can't handle it, and there are adverse reactions.
Well,
I would
think America, we're like number 22 in science literacy. I think a lot of Americans ignore science.
We have zero. We're science deniers. That's the problem. Is we are a bunch of goddamn science
You know
deniers.
what? You're pleasant to listen to. Remember that video I started and never finished about being pleasant to listen to? Like your voice is pleasant and appealing, and the way you present things is, like Tom Reed is pleasant to listen to because of his voice. Sometimes though he says, you're pleasant to listen to. You say things that,
Tiffany, will you tell us a bedtime story?
Yes.
No, what I'm saying is I can see why
You're right.
They were saying that you sounded a lot different than the other and how you're credible, because the way you present yourself, you're not flying off the handle.
I appreciate that. Well, it's a topic that's very important to me too, and I'm very invested in it, and I'm very much for being as educated as I can be on this to give proper information. And it's funny because when these doctors started pulling me aside and talking to me about it, the one made a point to me, and here's what he said. Because I was like, he says to me, Tiffany, think about this. For this vaccination, whole conspiracy theory to be accurate, to be true, you would have to have not thousands, not tens of thousands, but hundreds of thousands of doctors worldwide who went into the medical field to help people be willing to injure or potentially injure their children, their neighbors' children, their nieces and nephews for a payout. And he's like, this would have to be on a global scale of a conspiracy. There would be so many people involved. He goes, we don't go into this because we want to hurt people. We go into this because we want to help people. And that was the most simplified, common sense response I could have gotten from somebody that made it click in my head. When you look at the numbers of vaccines that are administered, compared to the numbers of adverse events that happen, it really is a small percentage. It's tiny. And unfortunately, and most of these doctors confirm this too, fortunately, my son fell into that category, right? I was unlucky in that regard. However, I do think, and a lot of doctors will agree with me on this, not a lot, but a good portion of them who are willing to say this, because doctors are definitely influenced by pharmaceutical companies. There are kickbacks. This is all stuff that's true. All of that is true. Mm-hmm. So the thing is if I had just trusted my gut with the vaccinations with Cash, because he was a little bit premature. He was born about 3.5 weeks or about 4 weeks early. He had jaundice. In my gut, I knew I shouldn't be doing this. They forced it on me, right? I had to.
Yeah, but after they had changed and also made you exempt from certain things, you exempt you. Okay? Now, they probably didn't do that to a lot of people. So what I'm saying is I think somewhere, somehow, you did affect more than you think. Like that they did look and they knew that you could possibly say, you know what,
avoid.
I will jump on board.
Yes, I know what you're saying. Yes, I hope I did. I talked about it a lot.
So they wanted to appease you. They didn't want to make you mad. They wanted to appease you and do what you wanted because you're just one person, but you had that credibility.
Yeah, I think so. Well, with his doctor, it's funny because I had two, his pediatrician and his neurologist both apologized to me, and
they don't usually do that.
They don't. It was weird. I was so awkward both times. His neurologist called my cell phone on a Sunday. It was so bizarre. And
that's guilt right there.
It was guilt, and he sounded guilty, and I was so perplexed by the whole thing because
he found out that for all these years he had been injecting his kids, his neighbors' kids, his friends' kids with something.
Well,
that he
the neurologists generally are very cold kind of people.
It depends on what somebody is. Okay, look at doctors. Some of them, when they sign something, you can't even read it, right? It's almost like pretentious, right? You can't even read their signature.
They're fast, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just one line, okay? That's how so many people were able to fake doctor signatures when they would steal their prescription pads way back when, and fake a prescription in the sign, But he I didn't get Rachel her flu vaccination either. I got her other vaccinations to go to school, but I didn't get the flu vaccination either. And you know how you were saying they were giving their families these vaccinations and everything? One of the questions when I lingered around in that doctor's office for an hour because they were going to that flow or whatever it is, it went up your nose.
Yeah, the Flonase.
It was a Flonase? Yeah, it went up your nose. It wasn't the original one. And then they said they ran out of stocks of the original.
Or not Flonase. I'm sorry. That's not what it's called.
No, it wasn't. It was something up the nose.
It's the mist. It's the nasal mist that they do, and that's just kind of a scary that particular flu vaccine. I will never get flu vaccination.
Me neither. I would never either. But when I asked the nurse, when I was asked, I had each one of them coming in, each one of those people who worked in that office, and I asked them what vaccine because I said, did you get it? The vaccine? They said, yes. I go, which one? The old one with the shot? Or they said, all said the shot. None of them said the new one. Now I'm thinking so now they want to give people's kids this new one. And I refused. At the end of the day, I ended up saying no. We stayed there an hour. And I said, you know what? No. I mean, I called her father. I called, and said I wanted to read every bit of literature they had. And I had already had, and none of it was good. And
it's not
so when they all said they used the old one, then I was like, oh, well, that makes no freaking sense, So when I left, I called my friend that had worked there, and he said, you made a good move, Tracy. He said, and he was a doctor there. He said, you made a good move, Tracy, because when I was there 2 years ago, that company came in, the one that was from, with that flu vaccine up the nose, and they wanted nothing to do with them.
Yeah, the flu vaccine's really dangerous, I think, in my opinion. And Lulu, you know what? They tried to push medication on me many, many times. And I didn't budge with it. I do think in some instances, some types of medications do really help kids, but I've tried to avoid it to as much as possible, if I could. But I do understand how they get very pushy like that. They basically will force you to do things if they can. And I'm not saying that you allowed it or anything, but I understand what you went through with that because I've had it
forcing.
strongly
suggested.
Yeah, it's a really slippery slope that you wind up on. But with everything though, there's
you got to read, you got to educate yourself.
You have to learn. Yeah, you have to learn these things. There is it is bullying, Lulu, because that's what they did to me with the vaccines. They bullied me, and they bullied me for years. Even with my exemption, I was bullied. It was that's how I felt too. And it was oh God, it was such a nightmare. I'm almost relieved to have had him vaccinated now because now I don't have to stress about it every year, whether or not my exemption is going to be grandfathered in the next year, because that's how I wound up lucky, because it got grandfathered in despite the changes in the law. But
well, it's funny that you said that you're almost relieved because it got resolved, and so you were able to get rid of the panic and the stress that you felt. To go to stay on the same topic, but to change it a little bit, is like I was feeling real anxiety yesterday and the day before, but yesterday, wicked bad. Okay, which I don't usually suffer from anxiety. Now, people would think that anxiety is just, a condition and isn't brought on by things, but it is, because when you resolve that issue, you felt that level of anxiety be resolved. And yesterday, when I was finally able to resolve, I think was the underlying issue of causing the anxiety went away.
Went away. Yes.
Yep. Like
and
I didn't take a pill to resolve it. It was resolving the issue.
It was the combinant conditions that
But what does that mean? Ambient.
Tracy, do you drink coffee?
Yeah.
That causes anxiety sometimes.
No, I drink coffee a lot, and I don't get anxiety. It's exactly like, what is Combien? Oh,
it's the underlying issues that will cover up the main cause of a problem or a condition or a behavior, right? And it's funny that you say that, because with autistic children, a lot of this is all the same. So, for instance, the lack of speech, the nonverbal, there's all these issues that are going on with these kids, right? But if you can break away the smaller issues and you can clear them out, you can get to that main cause of why there's a certain behavior happening. That's what I did with my son. Is I kept a journal and I introduced and took away foods and supplements and blah 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 blah. But what it allowed me to do is get to
people
them
who are going to, therapists and, psychotherapists, like older people, adults with anxiety, and they get put on pills. I feel like that's just a way that these people don't have to do their job and find out what caused it and just let's resolve that for you.
That is the issue with so many things these days, and that's how I approached it with my son. That's why I had such good results, because I was able to narrow it down to say, okay, it's this, and this, right?
Yep, let's fix that for you. Yeah, let's fix that. And then you won't have to stress about it anymore.
Exactly. And see, and that's the thing,
as soon as I hung up the phone and resolved that issue, like I was able to get a hold of that person, the thing that I was stressing out about, but I just kept in my mind going, I can't breathe. I can't believe I feel this way. As soon as I hung the phone, I realized that was the underlying issue that was bringing it on. I just was like, I can't put my finger on it, even though in reality, I kind of did know, because that was something I was talking about the majority of, which people do when they go to their psychologist or a psychotherapist. They maybe talk about, say it was something they had with their mother, their father, or something. and they talk about it, and they talk about it every time they go, and then their therapist gives them a pill.
Mm-hmm. And
Instead of
nothing's
saying,
resolved.
nothing's resolved.
I have my anxiety disorder runs in my family. My mom and my sister have it really, really bad. I kind of waver in the moderate range. I've learned how to deal with it myself through breathing, through dealing with things, through processing things. But I have these periods of time where I shut down, and it's detrimental because I become completely non-responsive to, I can't get anything done. I can't return phone calls. I can't answer emails. And the longer I let that go without any type of self-resolution to the things that I'm avoiding because they're piling up, the worse it gets. The worse it gets.
Like
yes.
stressing about a bill but not calling on it.
Yes.
And maybe they might say, yeah, we'll extend you another 2 weeks. That's fine. And you'll be like, oh my God, in 2 weeks, like you say, I don't get paid till, I get paid every 2 weeks, and it's not till, 2 weeks from now. If you just sit there and stress about it, I'm not saying you, I'm just using it as an example, and just stress about it, then 2 weeks later, other bills will have piled up.
Oh, Lulu, it can feel like a heart attack too. I mean, I get more of I feel like I'm drowning feeling, but
yeah, I can't breathe. I feel like it's a heart attack too.
Yeah, it's a scary feeling when you get them that bad. Mine tend to be more progressive. They start off small, and it's like just feels like anxious, like stress. I have had them where, and here's a good piece of advice too. A lot of panic attacks can get, they're worsened because we start to hyperventilate. And what I've learned to do a long time ago, because I dated this guy in high school who had seizures. Long story, I won't get into it. But what I found out with him too, his seizures were worsened by his hyperventilation. So what you do is you cup your hands and you put them over your nose and your mouth to regulate the amount of oxygen you're taking
still,
in.
It's hard to even focus on doing that too.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You know what? Now I want to go over. Lee had said something in the chat, saying something about the Manchurian Candidate. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, but I know that you were interested in that. The shooting there at what was that? I'm talking about Sandy Hook.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Right? Now,
yes.
A lot of things when they happen like that, right? You'll notice that the person ends up dead. They end up shot. So I'm wondering, like Lee, and I've thought of it before, too. So I'm glad that Lee talked about that, because sometimes people think, oh, that sounds out of whack, right? But if you ever saw the Manchurian Candidate, it seems like it is a lot. It wouldn't surprise me if they weren't able to call them and say a word that puts them in a hypnotic state, and they go and kill everybody, and then they shoot them.
Are you talking about like MK Ultra or something like that? I
don't know what MK Ultra is, but I always thought that was Nick Ultra. Nick Ultra.
Yeah. No, it was where the government ran experiments on different people to assess.
Yeah, think about did you ever see the movie Manchurian Candidate?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
Well, it was there's an old version and then a newer version with Denzel Washington. And
I never saw that.
Shriver, who I love. I like Liv Shriver. You know the guy, Liv Shriver?
Yes.
The actor. I like
him.
He's tall and just, I don't know. And I think Meryl Streep was in it too. She was his mother. And he was in the Desert Storm, and they had put, this is the newer version, and Denzel Washington and Liv Shriver and some others. And they had put that shit in his back. And but for Liv Shriver, it stayed in. So he was running to be president, and he was almost going to win. But, they were able to call him, say 2 words, and he'd be in a hypnotic state and do what they said to do. And, I mean, I'm sure they're not going to, do an autopsy on somebody who's gone nuts and shot up a bunch of places, and then the cop shot him. They're not going to say, oh, we found a government chip inside of him.
Well, I mean, those are things that are so complex, I guess you could say, where it's complicated. We'll never know. Let's just put it that way. We're never. I don't think we'll ever be able to find out about that kind of thing.
No, because they
But
deem them conspiracy theories and stuff, you know?
well, a lot of conspiracy theories are true. There is
Yeah, they turn out
conspiracy
to be
that
true.
happens. As far as Sandy Hook goes, I'm good friends with a parent who lost a son there, and I started off debunking conspiracy theories around Sandy Hook. And then I got invited into a group of conspiracy theorists of these people who denied it. And then when I got in that group, these people were absolutely batshit crazy, insane. No, there was no logical discussions of anomalies or of information going on. They were doing things like picture analysis, and it was all egotistical based. So that's when I really long story short, Sandy Hook was a very tragic event, and it was
Right, but
handled.
say he had a chip in him and somebody called him right before and said a word,
I
threw him into a hypnotic state, he would do it and then get killed and not even be aware that he did it.
Well, Adam Lanza had a really long history of very antisocial behaviors and a lot of severe mental health disorders that his mother didn't. She didn't treat. She
Yeah, so they tell us, but in very few articles.
They did a
Like they
really
could
extensive.
show
They
what
did a
they.
really extensive mental health report on Adam Lanza that they um,
Yeah, they did it
did.
after he died, right?
Yeah, yeah, but
Right.
he had a lot of interaction with psychologists prior
Yeah, but that's what
to.
they say. Like everything that they want us to know is what you'll find on,
That's
like
true. That's
when
true.
I wanted to report like
But
somebody's
with things like
name.
Sandy Hook, is all I know is that I have a good friend whose 6-year-old was
I'm
murdered.
not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying
Yeah,
that Manchurian candidate kind of thing could, be, a possible. And not saying just for him even. I'm just
oh,
saying in
absolutely. Oh, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. It could be possible. Like a lot of things are possible, with what the government does. I mean, there's a lot of things I don't think we're even, obviously we're not aware of that goes on, and I'm sure it would scare the shit out of all of us.
And they won't
But
even let us. I mean, we could end up, we're just little people, really. So that,
yes, yes,
yeah, we're just
yes,
little
we are.
people. And yeah, but I think that and that's another thing, like, even for example, my GoFundMe, you have some kind of a quality that is credible and well presented and so that you became a threat that you could get people possibly to listen to you. And
It's
that's
funny
one of
with me,
the
Tracy. It's like people they either like me a lot or they hate my guts. Like hate my guts. It's
yeah,
really
but they
black
still
and
trust
white.
you. You
They,
know that?
I that yeah. See, I have a hard time wrapping my head around that because
Well,
I probably see the negative and only the negative way too much.
well,
Um,
it's not hard to vet somebody nowadays. You
yes, it
seem like a
is
stand
because
up.
yes,
You seem stand
it
up.
is. But it is hard to vet people because if somebody were to try to vet me online with the information that's put out about me, they would get a horrible opinion of who I am.
Absolutely. Yep.
Horrible. If
Absolutely. And the
somebody were
funny
to
thing is
judge
they don't
me,
try to vet the people who are saying it about you.
no, that's just it. It's called, in to correct Laura, it's not cognitive dissonance. It's called confirmation bias. And confirmation bias is
Right.
subscribing to a belief without having any type of factual proof just because a group
Right.
agrees with it,
Mob
right?
mentality. Mob mentality.
Yeah, and so it's like with me in particular, I have this, and I've had this mob of people who have disliked me now for many, many years, and none of them ever really show any type of proof of these things I've done.
No, they
They all
do
tell,
not.
they tell these big tall tales about all these horrible things I've done. There's never any specifics. It's just that they all hate me.
And
Why
I'll tell
they
you,
hate
I
me?
told you I was guilty of not, because in actuality, when you pay attention to what the videos are saying or doing, they have nothing to say or do. Like they make no sense. And so it's like I'll say now, I'll be like, I don't even get that. I don't even understand, what is it supposed to mean? While on the flip side, they're getting 20 people saying great video, great video. And I'm
And
like, I
that
don't even
is
get it.
and that is how things start to unravel. And that is truly how you can influence people without any information. Like, they're not providing information, they're providing dialogue. And the dialogue that they're giving is simply based on completely biased opinions of my behavior or what I've done or
Look at how they
perspective, right?
jumped on you that night when, I was shocked to see that girl say, Vern, oh, I hate to say that. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean that. I meant the guy
Love
who did
your
those
channel.
commercials,
Please speak.
Ern is supposed to camp. That's who I was talking about. Not anybody we know. So, but he said, and then somebody said to you, you're telling them everything. Stop it. Do you remember that, Tiffany?
Yeah, I do remember that, but I don't
And it was
remember why
crazy that they said that. I was shocked, thinking, oh my God, I
it
don't
was
know,
weird, right? It was
yeah,
weird.
telling
Yeah,
them
it was
everything,
weird.
what? He's talking about Russian spies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Terry, I know you got it. I know you're rational minded enough to recognize that there's some severe paranoia going on over there with these ideologies that he is promoting, that I am a Russian spy or that Tracy's a Russian spy, that we're anybody except than who we say we are. That's reckless. And it's, in my opinion, when you see somebody in a mental decline like that, it is very reckless to coddle them and coddle
Yes,
those
it is.
ideas, because this guy
Mm-hmm.
is becoming increasingly unhinged.
Yeah,
And
and you
I
know
could not
why
live with
too, and I
myself.
know you know why, Tiffany, because you said it yourself. Usually, that there's no kind of you can't give a pill for that, really. Like you can, but
Right.
But
if they
here's
stop taking it, it could be way worse than it is now.
And here's the problem with this. And here's the problem with this particular group of people who dislikes me. They will see somebody give some type of dialogue about me that is negative, okay? And it doesn't matter what that dialogue is, as long as it's against me, they will go over there and they will promote that person, they'll promote what they're saying, and they will agree with them.
Now,
And they
his though
will,
stems from his dislike for me and you defending me.
I think so, but yes,
I
Would
think he
think
was
so.
stalking you though for a few years before, and you didn't know it because he was stalking me and trying to make
Well,
clone each
it
other
would,
and then do that.
it would
Like
have
it was
been,
more deeper than I
I,
thought.
I wasn't around very much prior to this past, not this past January, but January of last year. It's really when I came back online a lot, because I was gone for a while. But the problem I see with what goes on is when you have somebody like Vern who's putting it out there that I am a Russian spy who works for the Kremlin, who is stealing people's identities and their bank accounts and cloning people and doing all these horrible things. And then you have people like somebody from a certain group of people who dislikes me. We all know who they are. I don't need to name names. And you have somebody show up in his chat who simply dislikes me because everybody else does, who then agrees with him, says he's right. Absolutely, I'm these things. I'm a horrible person. And then engages with him to further these delusions that this guy is thinking are going on. Here's the problem. We don't know his mental capacity or his ability to potentially escalate that to the point where he feels he's doing the world a favor and
Yeah.
saving lives by showing up
Mm-hmm.
at my front door and shooting me. We
Or
don't
just his
know.
next door neighbor, even, I mean,
Yes, or his mother, or people are so reckless with their
And someone dropped
hatred.
so Lulu can. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see she was wrenched. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yes, people are so reckless and blinded by their pure hatred for somebody who really hasn't done anything to them.
Or that mob mentality. They would much rather just join a mob mentality and feel safety in numbers than being the one who stands alone. But I always think.
What do you guys think of that? What's your opinion on that secular human one guy? He seems a little bit. He's a little bit weird.
We tolerate him.
What's so crazy to me is what they've started to do now is they've started to go around and they've started to tell people that they're trying to isolate me now. In particular, Laura is really trying to isolate me. She's trying to
they've been isolating you for a long time.
Yeah,
they have been.
Some coddle, Amanda Coddle or something that keeps writing. She's really giving me a hard time. I don't take that stuff. I'm pretty thick-skinned about it.
Well, Terry, I am too. But, if people saw the actual amount of things that I get every day, not just online not just on YouTube, but in my email.
Yeah, I was going to ask about emails.
I get a lot of shit every day. I mean, from all angles.
Have you guys met anybody in person? I think you two should meet. You and Tracy.
I know she's supposed to be in California.
Yeah, I've met some people before, but I mean,
well,
I'll meet prudently. She lives near me.
Survivor girl, Tiffany's loaded. She can fly you out to California.
I'll tell you what I think of secular. I think he's multifaceted. I think that's a good thing. He can adapt to different discussions, any discussion.
That's right.
Yeah, so that means, you must be, do you read secular?
A lot, yeah. Every now and then I'll get on a reading kick. I'll get interested in the subject.
Like I used to read more when, I like to read too. I think that's the whole key, is reading is
right, documentaries, reading. I like to read a lot.
All that. Education is, like even to ourselves, that's the documentary, everything.
Secular, maybe I shouldn't have said psychobabble that night, but you know what? I'm not going to sugarcoat something for somebody who I feel is
right on.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I'm not going to.
Are you talking about the person V? The psychobabble?
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat things when it's being put out there that I'm a danger to society or that Survivor Girl's an African American woman who lives in Nigeria. At that point, I'm not sugarcoating things. I don't lie to people about how I feel.
He says it all the time. I'm going to kill people. He said, not me. He says that about himself.
Yeah, he's
going to. He uses violence so much, it's shocking to me.
And the things that concern me about Vern the most, and I'm just going to say his name because that's.
I'm sorry. I felt kind of bad because I seen him get unhinged. And
the problem with somebody like him is I see him as being the I'm not going down alone type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
If he were to get into that mental state of the decline that reaches that point, it's not going to be just him. And that's what scares me because he's not that far from, he's like 8 hours, 9 hours. I'm probably the closest one to him.
You, though. Let's give him the idea to go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Not anybody knows. Not give him the idea. Don't give him the idea. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Let's talk about fixing it. I read that the only way to fix it is, and this is along the lines of you saying how detrimental it is to enable somebody like that, right? And not say anything. It really is. That is so detrimental.
To promote somebody's delusions like that and agree with them and to act like they are normal thoughts and that's a rational way of thinking and that they're correct.
And to kick me out of,
that could potentially put somebody's life in danger. It truly could. And I'm not being dramatic.
Or maybe not people that we know, but a big group of people.
Yeah, he reminded me of my friend Richard that talks a lot when he smokes weed and stuff.
Yeah, but he's talking about killing people.
I didn't know that. I never caught that.
Right.
White Wolf wants to join the panel.
I appreciate that, White Wolf, because I appreciate that. That energy is very important. I pick up on energy a lot on people. It's exhausting, honestly, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's, and this is the thing. It said that one of the ways it is a very nice thing for him to say. It's, these people, everybody here, I think is multifaceted. I think this is a good conversation. So I really do. I'm enjoying it. I hope
Yeah,
everybody
we had a
is.
good
And
conversation last time too.
we try to change them around, but I think this is good. I like this. I
Yeah, we
feel.
talked about fetishes and stuff. That was
I
fun.
know, no, no, I know. But yes, that was the dating thing. But anyhow, the with Vern, I said his name. Sorry, my bad. Look at
Oh,
that. I'm contradictory, hypocrite. Anyways, um, the way to help those people is to try to actually tell them that no, that's not happening, and get their mind lucid for at least an amount of time that they can think about what they're doing in a lucid way.
right.
Okay. Because that's what happens. That's what makes them work, is being given the freedom to become so obsessed that it's their every waking moment. And you can hear him tapping away on that computer. I can find this one out, and I'm going to find this one out, and I'm going to find this one out. And he'll go, well, I'll tell you what I have found out. The people harassing Tiffany are in Britain. Well, no shit, right? This one's in Canada, and these ones. It's like, okay, well, those are pretty obvious things. I'll tell you what else I found out. There's two different Tracys. Okay, yeah. So he's not really solving any, huge mysteries or anything. But in his mind, it's a Russian spy ring that you know, goes nationwide. And if he really is, I mean, he was going to kill somebody and their whole family horrifically because there was a ding in his mother's car. He doesn't know how it got
Yeah. Were you guys talking at one time, like phone on the
there.
phone and stuff?
No, not on the phone. Was talking to his friend Alex on the phone for a good 6 to 8 months, I'd say. I mean, a long
Really?
time.
No kidding.
And then as soon as he went down to visit V, and they were doing a ghost hunt at the washout club, um, with, Jax, who now in a video that's up, he accuses both of them of, Jax supposedly hid cameras in his house, and
Oh,
Alex gave him
wow.
a phone that was tapped. Okay. And Tim, Spaceman, gave him a cute computer that is bugged now. Okay. So I want you to know all those people were in his room when I came across his room, and only because it said paranormal live stream. And that's what I typed in, paranormal live stream.
You haven't, that's one of your interests.
Yep, exactly. It was, it still is paranormal. That's why we're doing cryptid. Sometimes talk about this. Exactly. So when he was even saying, and here's the irony of it, he was thinking that YouTube was, ruining his station, and that he wouldn't come up in the, in the search key. Thing is, he did. Oh, White Wolf. Yes, you can join. Tiffany, can you drop the link? Because I can't.
I just did.
Oh, you did? Oh, thank you.
I telepathically picked up on what you're about to say, and I got you about 10 seconds ago.
I know. You know what? In my head, I was thinking, Tiffany's probably thinking I'm slack on reading the chat. I better read it. But
Yeah,
you were reading it. You were picking up my slack, and that's cool. Thank you. I appreciate it.
there's that one lady that keeps accusing. I thought we had talked on the phone, and we were gonna meet. She kept flipping on me, thinking I was
catfishing her.
Going against her and stuff.
Well, did she think you were catfishing her?
No, I was.
Who's
who.
this?
You know who I was talking to. She lives by me, and I've never. She kept thinking I was going against her. Debbie.
In Flint, yeah. Well, you can't. There's no rationalizing Debbie's behavior because it's not natural.
Right.
It's not. She's not going with the flow of her.
Because some people's idea of a date are two different things.
Right.
Like I would say that secular was probably thinking of a date, like meeting for coffee and talking and seeing, where other people, and I'm not putting anybody down. I'm not putting anybody down. I'm not even saying that is the case.
Right.
But, I think like the fact is we joke about having OnlyFans pages, but somebody else is promoting OnlyFans pages, and I noticed that some videos they're getting shorter, not on the OnlyFans, but on, YouTube, are getting shorter but more explicit. They're just like
Yeah,
frozen on body parts.
I think Terry, I don't think it's just you that goes on with. I think it's probably almost everybody if she hasn't known them for a long time. So I wouldn't take it personal.
Right.
I would not take it personal. You know what I'm saying? That's
right.
because it seems to be a pattern. So you're not special in that regard of the, revolving door of accepted, not accepted.
Hi, White Wolf.
Hi, White Wolf.
Hey, White Wolf. How you doing?
Thank y'all.
Hi.
Welcome.
I've seen White Wolf on other live streams. I'm not going to talk about, because sometimes I go to live streams where I don't tell anybody about, so that I don't get harassed there. They're like a different place. And I'm so happy to see you here, because that shows like support for my channel and stuff. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I tell you what, anybody goes to
don't say it,
and they get harassed,
okay, yeah,
send them goofy suckers to my streams. I'm gonna start going live more often.
You'll have to let me know so I can hit that. You have to hit that middle thing for get notifications.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to do that.
The middle one is the key that says get personalized notification, where it looks like it's already going to give them to you, but you have to hit that.
Well, I mean, in my defense, it has been a while since I've been on live, so
I was really getting fed up with the live streams
aggravated
lately.
on my end.
You did what?
Wait a minute. I was getting kind of aggravated on my end. Like, wait a minute. What?
On the live streams?
On my live streams. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'd like to. I know that this sounds funny, but I literally write down, and do research before I make a live stream. Because even on basic stuff, not just but anything that interests me, and I say, oh, that might be a good subject to talk about it. Don't necessarily always talk about it, but I'll have something written down so that if there's a silent time and nobody can, I've seen it on live streams where people go, anybody got something to say?
Right.
And sit there. It's dead air.
I try to as well, and then it's been a while since I've.
I don't think I've ever been to one of your live streams. Maybe one. I'm not sure. But I don't think so. I usually see you in live streams, and, we say hello to each other and everything. This is our first most interaction, so it's nice to meet you in person, kind of. YouTube person.
I think this has actually been our first live stream together.
Our what?
Our first live stream together.
Absolutely, yeah. We've been in the same chat room, but not live. Yeah.
Well, yes, ma'am. I believe so.
You know what? And that's what I was thinking today about my, what's going on with my cancer. I feel like it's a journey I've taken with friends. Like, you guys are my friends.
It's kind of like a deja vu to my ass.
We are friends.
Yeah, I feel like you guys were, at the end of the day, who would have thought that you guys would have been with me? Not, but here we are at my last chemotherapy. There's a long road ahead, but I feel like we are all growing,
Very, very true.
Yeah, nice.
This isn't something you're going through alone. You're going through it with others, right?
And I feel like, and that's another thing, Tiffany, I thank you for. Thank you.
Perfectly established.
Because no, Tiffany, seriously, and that is a God-given gift that you have something that inspires people.
Very much.
And it made me, who is a person who likes to talk, evidently, right? So much so that I was like, I need to have a live stream. I gotta have responses. I gotta have people I can interrupt.
Well,
I'm only kidding.
exactly. Hey, exactly. It's not fun interrupting yourself, right? I go through that. But Tracy,
I know, right?
you've deserved to have support. You deserve to have people uplifting you and being kind to you, and you've deserved this all along.
Thank you,
And
Tiffany.
That's right.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
Should be
thank you,
my
all
number.
of you, because I'm
Yes.
serious. I just, and I feel like I was on, YouTube before this happened. So we were already, this is like a friend going, so this is in the future. And because I feel like I'll eradicate this, but that in the future,
Mhm.
you guys, when you're talking to somebody and they get cancer, God forbid, but if so, or if yourself does or anything, you can, come back to this. We all can.
yes, and I learned a lot from this situation with all of this myself, because I too can be guilty of the things that people are guilty of doing to me, the confirmation bias, the reacting without having, and I did that, and I am
And we
very
can all
ashamed.
regress back to our behaviors unless we can
We
remind
can.
ourselves.
Well,
Ourselves. Yep.
that's why I told you the road to forgiveness with people is your own accountability, and it truly is.
Yes.
And if we can't be accountable for our missteps that we take, right, we're never going to grow past that. We're going to stay compartmentalized in our
Yep. Because
heads,
where
and
everything will be everybody else's fault, and we can't
yeah,
change
and
other
in our
people.
innocence. And there's a lot of people who do that, and that's
Whoa.
just. But
Yep.
as worrying about ourselves, which is the only people we can control, really, that's the way we grow past that. And I really try really hard to be extremely accountable in growing past, behaviors and everything. And Tracy, you deserve to have this support from people and this kindness this whole entire time. And I'm sad that you didn't get it the whole time, but I'm glad that you're getting it now. And it seems like people have
Well, the
really.
funny thing is it boils back to somebody who won't admit that they are responsible, and not to say I did it and make themselves look that I'm not saying that, and they could even say it in private. But I don't know if you saw today. The other night I slipped and I made two kind of angry videos. Okay, I
I
don't know if
knew
you
they were
saw them.
angry. I knew they were angry, so I didn't watch them. I knew
Well,
they
you
were going
can
to be
watch
angry.
them because I'm not yelling and screaming. I did, and I'm not swearing, and I don't say any
Okay.
names. I never say any names because I always feel like the person who responds to the video is kind of admitting their guilt, right? If I say no names and then someone
Yeah.
comes and
I see.
defends themselves,
I see.
then how do they
That's a
know it
good
was
point.
them if I said no names,
Interesting. Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
know who came and defended herself, the person about the Munchausen.
Okay. Yeah.
But it actually, it, boiled down to, in their theory of it, was that I did everything to myself, and basically they were totally innocent.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
everything to myself. But people were there and saw it. And that's why I said, listen, the bottom line is this. You catch everything on video. And no matter what, she's even caught herself recently there was an incident of like a pocketbook that was sent for a donation being kept. Carrie, I can hear the
That's actually me. That's me and the oops. Hold on.
Sorry.
That's me.
And so
Tracy, can you let my other account in because my phone's gonna die?
absolutely, I didn't know.
Okay.
You have to tell me
Yeah.
if anybody ever comes to come on, they get kicked out and I don't know it. Question about a bill. Calling on it. You tell me because don't it's in private chat either. 2 weeks. That's fine. Because say it.
I got 2% on my end.
Yeah, the reason is because when it says more, it just gives that number with a red circle around it, but it doesn't tell me that it's a guest or private chat or something else.
Well, if you only have 2% on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Who has 2%?
I do.
Why can't you plug it in?
I've got it plugged in. It's bounced down the highway about 60 miles an hour. So, you know.
You are? Plus on the live stream, you're so funny. Talk about a multitasker.
Well,
Now,
that's been a
now,
while
White
back.
Wolf, tell us about your channel.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I want to check it out. Where are you at, White Wolf? What part of the country?
I'm in Madisonville, Texas. And I'm bushcraft and survival as well as paranormal. And I also sing a little bit.
I actually went to that place in Texas at San Antonio where, you know, that at the railroad tracks and your car moves when you turn it off.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Around
It
San
did move.
Antonio?
It did move. Yep.
That's about maybe 2.5, 4 hours away from me right now.
Texas
Are you
is
out in
hot.
country, White Wolf? Are you like in a small town, country type setting?
I am actually in a small town country setting. I do have a few videos up right now.
I'll check it out. It sounds interesting.
Wow, that'd be fantastic. I'd love that.
Bushcraft and survival skills, like, so that might actually be necessary. I always think that sometimes we might all have to go after it.
Well,
You
actually,
never know.
I'm actually loving to expand from bushcraft and survival to paranormal.
Well, let me tell you something. I was watching that. I know that's surprising that I'm going to tell you something. No, but I was watching that Missing 411, The Hunted, right?
Yes,
Not the
ma'am.
first movie that he did, but the second one about the hunters. Like a lot of them were hunters that went missing. And when it's an adult that goes missing, they have a tendency to not report it. It doesn't become like a big deal. But they also said the FBI doesn't get involved in missing persons cases, you know, for the most part. But they will send, it seems, for those cases, like 2 agents that don't, you know, interact with the local police or anything. They just monitor it, which would lead you to believe they must have similar cases that they're taking notes about, seeing if they are the same. With the hunters, I thought, what if they're people hunting? You know, like taking these hunters because they know that at least there'll be a challenge in the setting where a rich person has paid to hunt the hunter.
They do.
I think so.
I've actually worked with the military and county, city, and the state law enforcement before. It's totally different.
And it would make sense that they would take hunters because at least then it would create, you know, somebody who's possibly on the same, plus they're already in their camouflage, because they find nothing of these hunters. They don't find their bow, they don't find their rifle, you know, they find nothing and they're gone. One of them said, somebody, you know, like in the vicinity. Because this is another thing. They just move away from the people they're with for a split second.
Oh, they hate
and
people.
Somebody heard that a door, like a trap door sound.
I want to bring back the wilderness. I want to, as much as we can, the woodland bison, the cougars, the wolves.
Well, let me tell you, out there by Sierra Nevada, and I wrote down a place I wanted to ask Tiffany if she'd ever been.
Thank you so very much.
Huh?
Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
Me or somebody else?
Jeremiah Johnson and yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to bring it back somehow.
Who's Jeremiah Johnson?
Robert Redford.
Yeah.
From like the 60s and No,
No,
like
I'm lost though. How did we get on that? Is there a chat, like a comment in the chat I didn't see?
it's no, so it's a movie of the
Or is that something to do with, what is it called?
like the 70s.
It's called Jeremiah Johnson?
The movie is called Jeremiah Johnson.
Okay, now I think I remember that. They made some good movies back then. Good act.
It's got Robert Redford in it.
He did not age well.
Oh no.
You know that? I mean, I hate to say that.
I didn't either.
I like all the Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, Charles Bronson.
Oh, you should watch Jeremiah Johnson. That's the best movie ever made. Other than
Walking Tall.
Yeah, beautiful.
What was the name of that guy that was about Walking Tall? It's on the tip of my tongue.
Buford Pusser.
Yeah, Buford Pusser. No, it's Robert Redford played the Horse Whisperer.
The Horse Whisperer. That's what it was called. The Horse Whisperer.
I actually waited him when I was in Montana back in.
Yeah, he's really into the, he does also promotes the Sundance film festivals and stuff like that. Am I kicked out? I don't think. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep. I can hear you.
Something's fucked up now. Oh shit. Hello?
No, we can hear you. We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, my volume is gone. I'm gonna go out and come. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna end the live stream. I feel like I'm ending it right in the middle of such a great conversation too. Let me just go out and come back. Do you guys want to stay or leave? What do you want to do? Popular vote. What do you guys want to do?
I can stay for about 5-10 more minutes before I gotta.
Okay, all right. Let me go out and come back in because my phone rang and it messed up my volume. So let me get out and come back. Okay, because I can't hear real low.
I'll try to stay in here.
All right, I'm coming right back.
White wolf. What kind of wildlife's left in Texas? What happened to all the red wolves? Are they gone? Remember, you've heard about red wolves, right?
Actually, the red wolves. The last I heard, there was like maybe 250% of the red wolves still alive today in captivity. But it was like 2 years ago, my buddy and I seen 2 red wolves going through his on the ranch out there maybe 2 years ago.
Really? They weren't coyotes. You sure they were wolves?
There were 2 red wolves.
Wow. I think jaguar, actually. There was actually jaguar up in Texas at one time.
There was. I darn near shot one of them.
What'd you do that for? There's not that many left.
Well, that's why I didn't shoot it.
Oh, that's good.
Wait a minute. No, I better not shoot that summer gun.
Yeah. You might come after you if you missed him.
Hello?
Well, karma might come after my ass.
Great. I can hear you guys. Good.
The party's just getting started, Survivor Girl. We're gonna.
I know, right? Yeah, because to me, I couldn't hear you guys. I mean, of course, I can hear myself. I'm talking, but. Okay, so this says everybody's in, right? Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, I told my friend, I said, I'm having a live stream tonight at 11, So obviously, like, I'm in my live stream. Don't call me. And through the whole thing, they were texting, and I don't care if they hear this. you know. But I said I was having a live stream. So,
I'm
you
still
know,
at
don't,
1%, so
huh?
I'm still at 1%, so I'm good.
But you're good. Yeah, it's still working. I like these live stream. I feel like they're like one big conference call.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
I
that's
like
exactly
them.
what they're like. I do
And I
too.
like the fact that, you know, maybe in your current, like, immediate surroundings, you might only have, like, shitty people, right? Because good people are few and far between. But when you have the ability to find friends in California, Michigan, Texas, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, you know, all over, then, you know,
Russia,
what, huh?
Russia, Russia.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I do actually have not Russia. I forget where she said she is. It's somewhere better than what I thought. I thought it was Lithuania or Romania, but it's
I've got a couple friends in Russia that's pretty foolish.
you know where it's pretty laid back is like the Netherlands and Sweden and shit. You know,
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely. The
people
yeah,
over
they're
there are
Netherlands.
laid
typically
back.
pretty cool. Yeah, they're
New Zealand
typically
looks
really
pretty
cool
cool.
people.
I would tell you that much.
That's where, if I had to pick somewhere in the world based on my scale of the safest places to be,
Yes, yes, yes.
based on general
Not if
threats.
you walk out yourself. You could kill yourself if you went out in the bush and
Yes,
got
but
lost.
I'm talking about
Or crime wise, yeah.
but crime, war, disease, just
Even
everything.
animals. Even animals. They have loose,
Yes, yes,
you
they
know,
have.
like
Yeah,
violent,
no,
vicious animals.
yes, yes. Don't go to
Yep.
Australia if that's how you're grading things.
Not
But
Australia.
overall,
Australia has vicious animals. New
yeah,
Zealand.
overall, New Zealand, overall general safety, because I studied countries for 3 years to find the
Yeah.
safest country to go to, and it
Yep.
was New Zealand top the list. Just in a
Absolutely. Unless you
yeah,
walk out in the
yes.
bush, you could screw yourself.
Yeah.
Or you,
Now, I'll tell you what, though. You ever seen that show, Sensing Murders, but they're the ones out in New Zealand and they're those psychics?
Mm.
I'll tell you, they really, they had like officers that were skeptical that wanted to debunk them. So they sat through the whole show, you know, with them to watch and see if any of their camera people were telling them anything, you know, everything they watched. And there's this one guy with blonde hair. His name escapes me right now. I mean, there's not so many on there. They only use like a certain amount, like 6 or 7, because they're the top ones. And they don't live in New Zealand, but the show is made in New Zealand, right? I guess because of so many times, you know, it could just be a matter that they went in the bush and they're lost, you know, or their body is people. One guy, he was psychic and he quit being a psychic because of the fact that they were driving into these people, they do not know. You could tell. I'm just telling you. And they are looking at a map at first and they say, we need to go this way. And so they get on the map, you know, get on the road, and then they start seeing where they need to go. And as they were going into this one particular like park, he got he got sickly because he said there was too many voices and it is like it's a body dump. But there was one girl by a red car, not a real girl, but he kept seeing in his head she had been a real girl that they had found dead in her car. You know, it was red, and it was more recent than the one that they wanted. You know, that he was supposed to be seeing. He was supposed to be seeing one that was an older woman somewhere else, but a girl in a red car at the beginning. That's right when he said, "I don't want to go any further." Because there's a young woman, she was about 21, 22. They found her in her car, but she had clearly been murdered. She was in the back seat with, you know, stab wounds and everything. That was violently trying to flag him down. Not violently, but, you know, real wanted to flag him down. And when he said, oh my God, there's too many. It's like the movie The Sixth Sense, where the kid's hearing all these voices all the time. Like driving by a cemetery just killed him, you know? Kind of.
Oh heck no. Mm.
My God.
I like that movie, A Sixth Sense.
Oh, that's a good movie. Yeah, that is a good movie.
It is. That is a good movie.
It scared the crap out of me though. I get really scared from scary movies though. I don't know why.
What's the name of it?
Y'all need to watch some Rob Zombie movies.
I watched them. The Devil's Rejects.
I had the comic book. It was good. I didn't see the movie though.
What, the Devil's Rejects? I'll tell you what. I like Rob Zombie's music too, though. He's pretty badass.
Yeah, he is. He is fantastic.
Yeah.
But like regular YouTube videos and everything, any 4x4 is pretty great.
What, you mean music?
No, like the regular off-grid
Independent films, you mean?
Yeah. No, it's like
music. We're talking about independent music.
No, she's
no, because Rob Zombie wasn't really. He was marketed.
Rob Zombie
back in the day, like the '90s. He was like, what was it, White Zombie, right?
Yeah, White Zombie.
Yeah.
They put on.
And he had a girl bass player or guitar player or something, right?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, they were good bass.
His wife actually is the blonde.
She goes, slant bird knees, dirty knees. What are these in that movie?
Pretty much.
Remember, she does that little nursery rhyme we used to do when we were kids.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, dirty knees, and then she points to her knee, and what are these? She was one of the killers.
Yeah,
that was the one with the clown, wasn't it?
But I'm like talking like off grid, not Rob Zombie style stuff. If you want to go like me, off grid, 4x4 kind of thing, she kind of acts like, in a way,
hippie like
Annie ANI 4x4. She'll do the
come on, spit it out.
She'll probably go that way.
Oh, you mean gay?
No, like Rob Zombie styles. Rob Zombie style.
I don't know what that means, Rob Zombie style. Is that like Gangnam Style, only Rob Zombie style? What was Gangnam Style? I'm only making a joke.
It's like
Gangnam Style.
I like the regional dichotomy we got going here. You got the loud
dichotomy. Can you please define? Google, define dichotomy. Does it have something to do with diverse?
Different models, different.
So diverse. See, I'm breaking it down like Latin-wise, like die. I would think that was diverse, you know.
Yeah, it's going kind of like every which way.
Yeah. But I like that.
Yeah, I do too. That's
when I look back at my Livestream and listen back, I'm gonna go, why am I yelling?
Oh yeah, mommy.
I mean, I wish I could freaking volume myself.
Wait a minute. I didn't even think of that. My advice.
Yeah, why am I yelling? But it's always an afterthought when I'm listening back. I actually laugh at my own live streams because I like everybody in them. They're so good. I think it's good. I like them, and I hate to say that about myself, but not really. You know? It's not about myself. I'm not even saying it about myself. Look, there I go again, taking credit for it again. I'm horrific.
Oh
Notice how I say horrific. I'm a hewer.
You got that New England hewer thing going on.
Yeah, it's like New Jersey or like New York, and the lady was on that guy, Jerry Springer, and her husband was cheating on her, and she's going, she's a whore, she's a hewer.
Hewer.
Yeah, she was
You
a
are.
healer. She looked like Peg Bundy, like real life. Like her hair was kind of like that, and she
Oh
was
my
real.
God.
Yeah,
Hey,
she was like, you
Miami
know.
Vice.
But I mean, Jerry Springer. I knew people on Jerry Springer, and these were these people that I went to school with, and I won't say names, okay? But the thing is like, you know, really, really new. I'm not just saying like I heard of them. I mean, we were friends. We were all friends. So a lot of them were on the show because they ended up. It was a really strange twist, but uh, it was when Jerry Springer was a little nicer and more understanding, and he would put messages of, you know, like real things. And
Right.
people, there was,
Before he sold out to the the
yeah, to
fighting
the
gay midgets and the
commercialism of it. Yeah,
yes. Oh
yeah.
God.
And at
I
one
remember
part,
back then.
the girl was saying, she goes, she was complaining, and I think it was his ex girls, you know, who's got a kid to him. And his two, like he has two baby mamas, and they became best friends, right? After the fact, like, you know, of course, but they weren't best friends before, but they became best friends. And there was, you know, now Teddy was this subject of contention, big time. And like one of their sisters, you know, who was like his sister-in-law would be kind of, you know, was there. And she said, yeah, well, you're always saying you're going to kill yourself and you never do. Right? And he goes, I'll kill myself. I'll kill myself right now. Right?
That's awful.
It was awful. And, you know, like every single person, you knew them. That's how it was. You know, you knew the whole family. Okay? Like I knew the whole
Oh
family.
my
But if you didn't
God.
know like that was going on, you knew that the two baby mamas were best friends. And you knew that Teddy was kind of not, okay, I said his name. I didn't say the last name. That he was kind of,
I guess about $70. Okay, hon, you have over
35%. I'm sorry, White Wolf, and I
Fuck
didn't
up
get
and
you
kiss my ass.
talking. Huh?
I always told my brother to pucker up and kiss my ass.
Terry. Oh, okay. Never mind.
No, go ahead.
I was going to tell Terry he unmuted for a second there.
Oh, he
Got
muted?
another window open. I was looking at something.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Probably
Gotcha.
porn. He's probably looking at porn.
No, that was
He's
early.
probably like saying, why don't they tie up women's feet anymore and try to shrink them, take them
I was
down
on
anymore
X-Hamster.
to make them smaller like they did back in the old Chinese days?
I was looking at cam to cam action.
What was that called? Oh, today on, you know, that cartoon, The American Guy or American Dad or something,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
right?
they changed
That
it up,
show
but,
is so dirty. That cartoon, they were doing a cartoon porn in the restaurant, and the two girls that were like twins took their shirts off, and they had, you know, the whale tails coming over these tiny shorts, and they were spraying each other with whipped cream and everything and spanking each other. This was on at 3 p.m. in cartoon form. Can you
I
believe
got
that?
me around my breechcloth and well, if I wasn't,
Your what? Your bridge cloth?
yeah, if I wasn't in a relationship, I'd probably run around my breechcloth and
Yeah, but this was a right, bridge cloth. Does that like
Hell.
mean that it's long enough to be a bridge?
No, that means that's
long enough to be a bridge.
more
I got the Golden Gate
That
going on.
That means he's living in a more natural attire and a more
I get
natural
that, but he
environment.
called it his bridge cloth, not his loin cloth. It's his bridge cloth, which means
Oh.
like I could whip that. And he's a Survivor channel, so he's like, I'll just throw the bridge across, and people are like, comes down like a drawbridge. Hang on to the edges, ladies. Wink, wink. Don't fall into my pit of love. Into my ball pit of love.
Yeah, right. It's the next video. How you doing? Next video.
It's going to be my drawbridge of love.
Yeah, there you go.
Getting you across to the other side safely. Come
Unfortunately,
hither. Come hither.
unfortunately, I can't do that. You know.
I've crossed many a lady into the land of love.
Let
Over
me
here,
lower
love
my
it.
bridge.
You gotta
You got me
love
down.
it.
I don't even know
You
what the
gotta
hell you
love it
guys are
and
talking.
love it. Love
Hey,
it.
Tracy. Tracy,
Yeah.
as much as I'd love to continue to talk about this man's bridge,
I know, and I'm almost
potential.
at 3 hours.
Like,
This man's
stay
bridge.
away from away, you know, from,
You're gonna have to
the
throw it down at a later date.
Yeah.
White Wolf, it was nice meeting you. You guys, I'm gonna have to sign off because I've got to get to bed. But I had a lot of fun. Survivor Girl, this is a great group you got going on here. And so thank you for
Thank you.
inviting
I
me.
appreciate that. Thank you.
very nice
I
meeting
do.
y'all. And
Oh well, I'm
Yeah, I think
just
I'm gonna
leaving.
end
It's just
the
me.
whole thing actually, because it's late and it's going on 3 hours, and I'm trying to save my free hours because free FREE, not free. So,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying. But I'll probably end up having to subscribe or something, because
All right.
I gotta talk. I got
Yeah.
something to say.
Plus, I still barely got 1 minute left on my
And one word in. I'm so
You're
sorry.
Tracy.
But I hung right onto that bridge, Tommy. I was like, I gotta know.
You're obsessed with that
I
bridge.
gotta know.
You're gonna dream about that bridge tonight.
We're gonna have the big reveal. The big reveal.
Yep.
One night. Tune in for the big reveal. Oh, Lulu's cool for another 20 minutes. Hello. She just said good night, everyone.
Yeah.
And then she said I'm cool for another 20 minutes. I don't know. Lulu's beautiful. Have you guys? You know what? That's another thing too. The women in this room are absolutely gorgeous, and we're all a good-looking group. I think. I was thinking about you, Terry, the other day. Not sexually. Don't get excited. But I was thinking, and White Wolf, I can't see your face, but your face is on, but I'd have to take a screenshot and then zoom in because I can't. Why did you just? Oh, there you go.
Right on.
Oh, you look like, oh my God, there's a certain, oh my God. It's like, okay, Sam Elliott?
Well, the
Like
voice
Sam, like a Sam Elliott, right?
the voice they say it's kind of Sam Elliott.
Oh, not Sam Elliott. I'm saying wrong. It's the guy who's married to, oh my God, it's not, is it Sam Elliott? No, wait, maybe it is.
He looks like the kind of guy
who said double douche on Roadhouse.
He can help us survive in the wilderness. He looks like the kind of guy that would.
No, but you remember the guy who in the movie Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze?
Right.
Remember his friend that came up and said double douche?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was the double douche ranch.
That is Sam Elliott.
It is Sam Elliott. Okay.
That is Sam Elliott. Yeah. I remember.
Now, the funny thing is he's from Massachusetts, Sam Elliott.
Really?
So
really?
He wouldn't have a drawl like that, probably.
Hey, White Wolf, can you trace any of your lineage to the Alamo defenders?
Are you originally from Texas?
Are you originally from Texas?
I was born in Huntsville, Texas.
I thought I meant Alabama. That's what I thought, Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah, it was probably two Huntsvilles. I was in San Antonio way back in 1976. I
went to the Alamo.
I was fascinated by the Battle of the Alamo.
I heard that Daniel Boone actually survived.
No, Davy Crockett.
Davy Crockett. Okay. Yeah, I got confused with Daniel Boone because Prudently said it. Bigfoot. What do you think about Bigfoot, White Wolf?
I have research on that more.
Yeah, and I would think you being somebody who, do you live out in the woods? Really, does your name really define who you are? We know some people who they put UFO hunters, but never go from behind their desk and do, not desk, but whatever, computer thing. and do a UFO hunt. So I'm asking you, like, do you really, are you a hunter, like going out for deer, or, and to say bush, now that's a reference to like more used in Australia and places like that, but it could be used here, you know? There
That
is,
is a wonderful question.
yeah.
And I've been pondering on every one, but
Like, do you think you're more skilled in living off the grid than, or
damn, we're like living off the grid. And okay, the way I was actually raised, if say if you're willing and able to take care of everything, blowns,
you're going ahead up, Terry? I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to interrupt you, but
Listen, yeah, I'm
you
gonna head out.
wouldn't.
I gotta call it a night here. So
okay.
I'm gonna check out your channel, White Wolf, and subscribe. And I just wanted to say nighty night.
Night,
Okay.
Terry. I'm gonna let White Wolf finish what he's talking about, and then, but you have to speed up. You're saying you can't take that long of a pause. I'm not saying that it's a rule. I'm just saying that think of, like, you know, just you know what I mean. Chop chop, not chop chop. I'm a fast talker too, because I want to fit as much as I can in these 20 free hours that I
Right.
get. You know what I'm saying? Not you, Terry. I'm not saying you're a fast talker. But White Wolf, I want to hear what you're saying, but I
Right.
want you to not pause so much in between. No 2 words, then 2 pause. You know?
Not
I'm
too
just saying
slow.
you can
Not
do
too
it, and I'll still let you do it, and I'll just tolerate it as your friend, because, if that's how you are, that's how you are. But I'm asking you to make a conscious effort. That's all. To talk
slow. Okay.
faster.
That's cool.
Talk faster. You can say whatever you want. Just say it. You can say you can say more than what you're going to get out in the time. If you think about it, it's time effective to talk faster.
Well,
You keep talking, Survivor Girl. You're not giving him a chance
I'm
to talk.
sorry, I'm shutting up right now.
oh, yeah,
Thank you for.
just shut
Yep,
me up in the meantime.
go ahead.
Well, my channel is this one here is oh dang, I'm drawing a blank.
It's, do you hunt? That's why I asked you. Like, are you out there hunting on this channel?
Oh,
And when you say hunting, what are you hunting?
well, during the seasons I'll hunt deer if I get a license.
You got elk out. You got elk in Texas too, don't you?
I would do, but that's considered exotic game,
Okay.
and you'll have to pay a little bit more for that. Wild hog, you don't get no percentage on any of that. You just drop them and go.
Nice.
Squirrel,
What do you mean percentage?
and like per bag.
Do you
Like
sell them, or you have to pay to get them?
no, you don't. You don't really have to pay anything. Um, Squirrel is like open season. Hog.
Squirrel. I wouldn't.
Open
Why would
season.
anybody hunt squirrel though? They're so cute.
They are, but I mean they're great eating.
No, they're not. Stop it. You probably need a lot of
If
them to eat.
if you really, and I mean there's really not much to eat off of them. It's like rabbit.
Yeah, or frog's legs or something, right? Although I did see some pretty big frog legs. They look just like chicken legs. Meat wise, like, the amount
Well, a
of
little bit less than chicken. Um, Actually, a little bit less than chicken.
a little bit. I've never eaten frog legs. I would never eat frog legs. I was jumped by 3 bullfrogs.
They're okay if you kind of like seafood in a
I
way.
do like seafood, but they don't even come from the sea.
Alligator is actually better.
I don't want to eat
They
those either. Because they're like one of the oldest creatures. You guys kind of should
they
respect
are really.
alligators.
They
Huh?
are really. They are
Yeah.
really
You should
really.
respect alligators. I mean, they are one of the oldest creatures that, has been around, and they're almost to prehistoric.
I'd rather leave them alone and let them progress. But I mean, there's a lot of people that will just, oh well, yeah,
Poach them.
alligator they taste like chicken. No, mother
And that's
sucker,
just,
they don't.
no reason. You know what? And there's an abundance of chicken. So if they taste like chicken, leave them alone.
No, they actually taste better than chicken. To tell you the truth, in
But
my
something
opinion.
else too? You ever heard of bird's nest soup?
I have.
Right. And then,
I've,
but I watched a
I've,
show about that, and it
I've
takes
never.
like a really long, long time to these birds to build this nest, and it's made out of their own spit. Okay. That's why they're white, and they're on these curved walls
I've
inside like
never
the
done.
caves, not curved wall, cave walls. I'm sorry, not curved, cave walls. And it's made out of their own spit, and it takes a wicked long time for them to make them. And then as soon as they make them, these people come around, and these assholes remove them. And now this bird can't lay its egg.
Nope.
And and the birds don't even know why they migrate to where they migrate to this particular cave and make this
Right.
nest, right? They don't know. It's just behavior that's passed through generations of these birds, of where to go. They're not even born there. They just fly there.
Yeah.
They don't have a map. A bird doesn't have a map,
No. Hell no, they
right?
don't.
And yet for years, it's there with monarch butterflies too. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that's pretty impressive that something is born somewhere else and continuously keeps this, pattern going, and for a reason. But these assholes, I thought, how fucking, even with shark fin soup, they cut the fin off the shark and then throw it back in the water alive. And the biggest like eating machine in the ocean sinks to the bottom of the sea and is now a buffet for bottom feeders. Isn't that awful? And the shark's eyes, when I saw a documentary when it was just sinking right to the bottom of the sea,
Yeah.
was wow. It was so sad. It's giving me goosebumps right now just thinking about how sad it really was. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, right. Well, I mean, I loved having you on, but I have to end this because it's gone on 3 hours, and I'm so proud and at the same time so sad to end it
Oh
because
wow. Yes.
I didn't think, that anybody would, but it's been a great conversation. Thank you for showing up and staying and then coming on. That's just so awesome. I mean, you're
I
just so
thank
welcome.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And come back. Did you you definitely, they dropped your link in there like a couple of times, right? And my wonderful mods. And I thought about that too in my head before I made the live stream, like who when I make mods. And some I was surprised that not surprised, but that I felt so. I'm just saying today when I was sitting there thinking to myself, oh my God, I have one more treatment left. And
Shoot, I'm
how in
on.
my mind automatically I thought how I've been through this journey with you guys, like, you know, because you knew me before I was sick and I got sick and now I'm at this last treatment and there's, you know, a road ahead. But how thankful I am to have, you know, you guys friends and, you know, that's great. Thank you so much. It means a
Well, I
lot.
mean, I had the COVID for less than 24 hours, and I beat it just drinking alcohol,
Right? Alcohol kills everything.
especially tequila.
And whiskey. And whiskey. The reason why I know, because it's, I worked at a bar where underneath the coal plate in the ice chest. Oh my God, my phone just died.
Uh-oh.
I gotta end it. I'm so sorry.
That's cool. We'll catch you later. Thank you for everything and everybody's in chat. Love y'all. Love you, lady. See you next time.